Chapter 11. With a goal and a desire, Lu Qing was not only looking forward to the martial arts special training the next day, but also worked very hard in class. It seemed that he was trying to make up for the time he had wasted. He was striving to get both hands on both. Beside him, Kai Zhongming secretly clicked his tongue and kept mocking him, saying, "Men really think based on hormones. In order to pursue a girl, you have betrayed the revolution, leaving me alone to waste my days." When introduction to computer science was over, Lu Qing went back to his dormitory and checked the website of the Academic Affairs Office. He found that his class schedule had been adjusted. The mornings were empty, and the afternoons and evenings were full. Only Thursday was free, so he could rest at night. Just another senior in high school. He secretly clenched his fists to encourage himself. Because he had already taken a shower in the bathroom after the martial arts class, he casually wiped his face with the water in the thermos bottle, soaked his feet, and brushed his teeth. Then, he declined Kai Zhongming and Tang Wen's suggestion to play a game online. He climbed into bed early and prepared to wake up early the next morning. Lu Qing didn't wake up early to rush to the special training at 8 a.m., but to wake up early at 7 a.m., just like when he was in his senior year of high school. Geezer told him to stop practicing yin-yang stance today because he wasn't satisfied enough. Tomorrow might be the same. After all, according to Geezer, most people couldn't last long at the beginning, so he might as well train for 40 minutes first. Lying in bed, he played with his phone out of habit. He logged into QQ and browsed the forum of the Longhu Club. In the forum, a post was highlighted, and the title was "Dong Baxian, I'm one of the top 3 in the world." Damn, what a big mouth. Lu Qing complained and clicked on the post. It was an interview with the chief expert of the Yanzhou League, Dong Baxian. Dong Ba had been a first-pin master for many years. Before the legendary twins became famous, he had obtained 4 titles, including 2 of the titles of king. That was why he was also known as the Battle King. He had always been arrogant and conceited. Even the children on the streets knew this. However, his strength matched his personality, which made people love and hate him at the same time. Those who liked him worshipped him to the extreme, and those who hated him to the bone. In the interview, he said arrogantly, excluding the taboo masters, "I'm one of the top 3 in the world." This was the forum of the Longhu Club. Most of the people here were fans of the Dragon King, Qin Chitao. It didn't take a genius to figure out what kind of comments would follow. Sure enough, the moderator, Pig Riding Knight, occupied the second floor and started the discussion. "Yao Ming and I have an average height of 1.9 meters. Although I hate Qian Junzi, I still have to say that he and the Dragon King are on the same level as the Taboo Masters. The others are on another level. Dong Baxian is just taking advantage of their position." Sun sent a laughing emoji and said, "Actually, Dong Baxian wasn't wrong. Apart from the Dragon King and the hypocrite Qian, even with the help of those foreign kung fu experts, he does have a chance to compete for the first place. Logically speaking, there's nothing wrong with being one of the top 3 in the world." "That's right, I just feel like laughing." 233333333. This girl was a hot topic on the forum. She would post pictures of herself from time to time. She could be considered half an internet celebrity. There were almost 100 replies under her comment, more than the moderator, Pig Riding Knight. Outspoken, who had previously suggested that Lu Qing run to improve his stamina, said, "Ba, why don't you look in the mirror? How many titles has Dong Baxian gotten since the Dragon King got his first title?" 1. Only the title of Grandmaster. And that's because the Dragon King and the hypocrite Qian Junzi fought each other until both sides suffered losses. Dong Baxian took advantage of that. "Don't be hooligan," said Dong Baxian. "It's impossible to be humble, not in this lifetime." His strength isn't good enough, so he can only rely on bragging to maintain his current status. This answer was very unique. Lu Qing immediately smiled and replied below, "You're talented." "Don't be hooligan" and Okamoto's fan were both experienced and dirty jokes. Recently, they had been flirting with another famous female ID on the forum, Beautiful World. Soon, don't be hooligan, replied Lu Qing. Ha, it's not me who's talented. It's stop gambling, my old bro, who's talented. It's a famous quote from Guevara. I just changed it a little. Stop gambling? Lu Qing replied blankly. Don't be hooligan said, haven't you seen that video? There's a thief who was caught. During the interview, he said, it's impossible to work, not in this lifetime. I don't know how to do business. It's only by stealing that he can maintain his life. That way, entering the detention center feels like coming home. His answer was so funny that he became famous very quickly. Because of the similarity? Guevara, that's why he was called a thief. Guevara, the old bro of Stop Gambling, worshipped him as their spiritual leader. Okamoto's fan also explained, Stop Gambling is a place to stop gambling. But when a group of gamblers get together, they naturally start to discuss how to win money. They call themselves old bro, and even when they owe dozens of people, they can still post at home paralyzed. Dozens means hundreds of thousands. And when they're on the run, they're still in the mood to drink a few bottles of beer, repair a car, or take selfies. We can only say, bro, steady. I often go to that bar to have a look. I think they're very talented and very fun. Love Feng Xiaomang added, don't lead Schrodinger's tiger astray. He's only a freshman. Anyway, I really like the old bro of Stop Gambling. Their most classic quote is, I borrowed money with my own ability, why should I return it? Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. That makes sense. I actually have nothing to say to that. At this moment, Wonton Seller tagged Lu Qing, Little Tiger, how do you feel about the first class of the martial arts club? The new coach is very good. He directly taught us the Thunder Sect's yin-yang stance. Lu Qing replied with a bit of pride. Of course, he didn't mention that he had successfully achieved 1-point stance on the first day. Little Tiger, maybe you can really become the #1 master of our forum in the future. Patting shoulder. Wonton Seller joked. Road to the Arena, who loved to show off, also joked, yo, you've become a traitor. The topic quickly changed and everyone started to make a fuss. Lu Qing rarely became the center of attention. He was quite interested in chatting at first, but gradually he couldn't open his eyes. The Jindan could help him recover from physical fatigue, but it couldn't eliminate mental fatigue. After a day of intensive living, he couldn't take it anymore. Lu Qing reluctantly set the alarm and fell asleep with his phone in his hand. The next day, at 6:40 a.m., Lu Qing's fixed time to wake up. He naturally woke up and turned off the alarm that was going to go off in 5 minutes, so as not to wake up his roommates. After washing up, he quietly put on another set of ordinary martial arts suit. He left the dormitory, ran out of the gate of the courtyard, and ran towards Weishui Lake. The morning air was fresh and refreshing. Every breath he took made him feel refreshed. Ah, how beautiful the world is. Ah, how fresh the air is. Lu Qing was in a good mood and joked a few lines. Running in the quiet and empty space, he could occasionally see a few crazy people reciting books. At the lakeside, Lu Qing found a secluded place. He wanted to directly do the stance, but then he had an idea. He respectfully bowed 3 times to the lake and muttered in his heart, I don't know which senior left the Jindan. I was lucky to get it. If I succeed in martial arts in the future and can directly enter the water, I will definitely find the senior's remains and give them a grand burial. He imitated the tone in the novel, saying thanks and promises to the original owner of the Jindan. After doing all this, he spread his feet, raised his hands, and stood on the yin-yang stance. Once again, he concealed his spirit and qi and observed the Jindan in silence. He felt the subtle changes in his body as he moved his center of gravity. As time passed, he gradually felt that these changes were all in his heart. He felt that his body still belonged to him. It seemed that in time, he would be able to completely control his body. The mountain was still the mountain, the water was still the water. Immersed in this, Lu Qing didn't know how much time had passed. He was only waiting for the second alarm to ring so that he wouldn't be late for the special training. Suddenly, his heart moved and he opened his eyes. He found that there was an old face with some wrinkles in front of him. The cloudy eyes were staring at him. Lu Cheng was shocked and almost punched him. Fortunately, he recognized the old man in time. Coach Shi, why are you here?" he stammered. Geezer Shi smiled and said, "Why can't I be here? Yesterday I found that you could directly enter the Jin Dan. Hee, if it weren't for your weak muscles and weak bones, would have thought that you had learned the top secret art of playing the pig to eat the tiger at such a young age. I didn't learn it until I was 30 years old." Lu Cheng didn't have the strength to complain. He could only laugh and say, "I don't know what happened. I just thought of the dantian and entered the Jin Dan." He could see it. Fortunately, he didn't find the Jin Dan in his body. This shows that you have talent in this area. Geezer Shi suddenly put on a serious face. "Do you want to enter the real martial arts circle in the future? Do you want to reach professional ninth pin in 1 or 2 years? Everyone has their own future. It doesn't have to be martial arts." This sentence flashed in Lu Cheng's mind. He also remembered the excitement, worship, and excitement of Yan Zheke and the other spectators when Lin Ke won the competition. Therefore, he said without hesitation, "Yes. Coach, you have a way." "Of course, but you have to worship me as your teacher." Geezer Shi said arrogantly, "Well, martial arts is like sailing against the current. Even if you have talent, if you slack off, plus you are already late, I'm afraid you won't be able to reach professional ninth pin in 1 or 2 years. I can only say that the master leads the way. Whether you can succeed in the end is mostly up to you." Lu Cheng nodded and understood this. He immediately learned the etiquette of the martial arts circle and said, "Disciple greets master." "Well, no need for formalities. Today is the day you enter the sect." Geezer Shi showed a playful smile again. "Oh, right, don't tell others that I'm your master." "Huh? There are secrets?" Lu Cheng asked subconsciously, "Why? And this is the day I become your disciple? Isn't it too childish? It's simply unreal. Although you have talent, you may not be able to practice it. I'm afraid I'll lose face if I have such a useless disciple." Geezer Shi looked at Lu Cheng with disdain. So realistic. Lu Cheng was speechless. "I'm just that realistic." Geezer Shi seemed to see through his thoughts. He laughed and said, "Wait until I recognize your level before telling others." Lu Cheng thought for a while and said, "Master, it doesn't matter if you don't tell others, but I have to know your specific situation, right?" Geezer Shi snorted and said, "I don't want to talk about things that are too early. A few years ago, I was cooperating with the military to do a research. You know, after entering the physical invulnerability state, martial artists start to become different from ordinary people. They have all kinds of magical abilities. And the more they practice, the more likely they are to pass on these magical abilities to their descendants, giving them the so-called supernatural abilities. Our research is on the relationship between martial arts and supernatural abilities." Lu Cheng thought of the purple flame and thunder during the battle between Dragon King and Warrior Sage. He nodded solemnly to show that he understood. Then he asked curiously, "Master, what kind of research are you in charge of?" Geezer Shi glanced at Lu Cheng and said lightly, "Being researched by others." Pfft. Lu Cheng couldn't help but laugh, out of breath. Then he saw Geezer Shi stride towards the martial arts club stadium. Lu Cheng stopped laughing with difficulty and was suddenly stunned. According to Master's description, this research obviously requires the cooperation of a physical invulnerability mighty one to carry out. In other words, Master is a physical invulnerability mighty one? Is he euphemistically saying that he's a top 3 mighty one? Chapter 12. While Lu Cheng was still in shock, the old face with fewer wrinkles appeared in front of him again. He was shocked again. "Master, why are you back again?" Geezer Shi laughed. "I forgot to say. Since you're my disciple, from tomorrow on, Wake up at 5:30 and wait for me here at 5:50. Do 2 more hours of training before the special training. Wake up at 5:30? Lu Qing asked in surprise. It was still dark at that time, right? He didn't have to work so hard in the 3rd year of high school. How many hours could he sleep if he woke up at 5:30 every day? If he continued to train, even if he had the gene Dan, he might pee blood. What? You don't want to wake up? Geysersher touched the sparse white beard on his chin. You've missed the best age for training your body. If you want to reach professional 9th pin in 1 or 2 years, how can you make up for it if you don't work hard? Diligence makes up for stupidity. Kid, you'll suffer if you don't listen to your elders. Lu Cheng was silent for a moment. Thinking of his recent expectations of martial arts, he finally nodded and said, I can get up, but the door of every dormitory only opens at 6:30? It's okay. I'll get someone to give you the key to the dormitory door. Geysersher waved his hand with a nonchalant look on his face. Waking up at 5:30 is the best time for cultivation in ancient times. You also need to get enough sleep, so you must sleep at 10:30 every day. I'll call you to remind you. Sleep at 10:30? Lights out at 12. Lu Qing almost gasped. This meant that he had almost no time for entertainment. Every night, except for Thursdays and Saturdays, he had classes from 7 p.m. to 9:35 p.m. When he returned to the dormitory and finished washing up, it would be around 10 p.m. The remaining half an hour was not enough for him to chat on QQ or browse the forums. As for games, he could only chuckle. Could it be that he could only relax during class breaks and lunch breaks? As for skipping classes to have fun, Lu Qing couldn't do it for the time being. If his grades were not good, how could he face his mom and dad? Forget it. No pain, no gain. I'll try it for a semester and see how much progress I've made. Just treat it as another 3rd year of high school. Lu Qing exhaled and answered, your disciple will go to bed on time. Geysersher nodded slightly. And, do you smoke? Yes. Lu Qing didn't dare to hide. I quit. Geysersher said mercilessly, you haven't completed your physical training yet. Smoking and drinking are harmful to your body. That Wudong from the martial arts club has damaged his body because of smoking and drinking. He's already half crippled. Well, you should quit drinking too. Yes. Lu Qing was not addicted to cigarettes and alcohol, so he only felt slightly uncomfortable about quitting them. Do you have a girlfriend? Geysersher continued asking. No. Lu Qing suddenly paused and said fearfully, what if there is? Quit it too. Geysersher's expression was serious. What? He even quit his girlfriend? Just as Lu Qing was breaking out in cold sweat, Geysersher suddenly showed an indecent smile. Well, what I mean is, if you have a girlfriend, you should arrange your martial arts, study and dating time reasonably. Don't neglect her. If you get dumped, you'll be sad and hurt your body. Also, although you're young, you should still control your sex. If you don't have a girlfriend, your left and right hands need self-discipline. That's all for now. Tomorrow morning, at 5:50 a.m., wait here on time. I'll teach you a few stances of the Shangqing sect and the Ice sect. Since the beginning of the martial Tao, there were many sects, but the 5 sects' secret arts were the most famous. Therefore, many sects, even if they were not Taoist martial arts, would name their own martial arts in the form of the 5 sects' secret arts, such as the Ice sect's secret arts and the Water sect's secret arts. Lu Qing was refreshed and suddenly didn't resist going to bed and waking up early. Since the master-disciple relationship couldn't be spread, he waited until Geysersher was far away before running to the martial arts club gym. When he arrived, he was already the last one. Compared to yesterday's martial arts class, there were only a dozen people today. Chen Zhonghua and Wu Dong were seniors, Sun Jian, Lin Hua and Wu Meng were juniors, Jiang Fusheng, Li Mao and Li Xiaowen were sophomores, and Lin Kai, Guoqin, Yan Zheka, Lu Qing and Su Qiubai were freshmen. More than half of them were freshmen. One reason was that the sophomores and juniors were busy looking for jobs, and the other reason was that Yenjika, the most beautiful girl of the martial arts club, had signed up, which attracted many boys of the same year. Therefore, at first glance, Lu Qing found that the group was quite masculine. Except for Yenjika, there were only Lin Hua, Li Xiaowen, and Guo Qing. Guo Qing was tall and strong, with thick eyebrows and big eyes. Her arms were as thick as a normal person's thigh, but her martial arts level was good. She was second only to Lin Ke among the freshmen. Like Kai Zhongming, she was of amateur 5th pin. As for the postgraduates, of course, they were busy working for their boss. How could they have time to participate in the martial arts club activities? I went for a jog first. I was almost late. Seeing that Yenjika was the only one familiar, Lu Qing plucked up his courage and shamelessly squeezed through the crowd to say hello. Yenjika pursed her lips and smiled. I thought you would give up after what I said yesterday. Why would I? I have a devout love for martial arts, Lu Qing said in an exaggerated tone. Yesterday I didn't rest at all. After washing my face and brushing my teeth in the dormitory, I was so sleepy that I couldn't open my eyes. I just lay on the bed and fell asleep after a while. But he didn't chat with Yenjika. Yenjika smiled faintly. Me too. In the morning, martial arts class. In the afternoon, advanced mathematics and introduction to philosophy as an elective. In the evening, English. When I got back to the dormitory, I almost didn't want to take a shower and just fell asleep smelly. Which school are you in? Lu Qing just realized that he had forgotten to ask. The School of Business and Economics. Yenjika stopped when Geyser came in. Most of the special training in front of him was the same as the previous martial arts class: pole standing, strength training, and footwork practice. Lu Qing was very engrossed, especially in pole standing and footwork practice. He felt like a fish in water and could almost intuitively feel his own progress bit by bit. As for strength training, Lu Qing relied on the Jindan to recover from fatigue and carried out continuous and coordinated training. He could also feel his gains. After 3 hours of hard training, it was 11 o'clock. Geyser gathered everyone and said with a smile, "Next is the basic movement and strength training. Then you have half an hour to practice with each other. 2 people will be in a group and the level of your martial arts will be matched. Lin Ke, because it's an odd number, you will be in a group with Sun Jian and Su Qiubai. You will guide them and practice with them separately. Your level of martial arts is higher than the others, so you won't be able to find an evenly matched opponent in a short time. So, change your perspective and be a coach." Lin Ke nodded silently and didn't object. Geyser continued to assign groups. Guo Qing, you guide Yenjika. Lin Hua, you practice with Li Xiaowen. Li Mao, you and Lu Qing are in a group. Li Mao was a senior brother in his sophomore year. He had a square face, thick eyebrows, broad shoulders, and a hearty smile. He still remembered Lu Qing, the first student with no rank, so he walked directly to him and said with a smile, "Junior brother Lu, nice to meet you." I should be the one saying that. Lu Qing returned the courtesy and then changed the topic. "Senior brother Li, which amateur pin are you?" "3rd pin." Li Mao was quite proud. "Then you are second only to club president Chen and senior brother Wu Dong, and almost the same as senior brother Sun Jian?" Well, before Lin Ke came in. Lu Qing only knew the ranks of Chen Zhonghua and Wu Dong because they were in charge of the recruitment. One of them was of amateur 1st pin and had the potential to reach professional 9th pin, but he injured his hand yesterday and might not be able to make it to the ranking event. The other was of amateur 2nd pin, which was not bad in the university. Lu Qing had just finished his words when he heard a heavy snort. He turned around and saw senior brother Wu Dong, who was not very tall, and the freshmen he was guiding just happened to pass by and were heading to an open space. Looking at senior brother Wu Dong's gloomy face, Lu Qing didn't say anything subconsciously. When they were far away, Lu Qing heard Li Mao say with a sneer, "Senior brother Wu Dong still looks like a ghost." "What?" Lu Qing asked in confusion. Li Mao looked around and lowered his voice. Chen Zhanghua and Wu Dong are partly responsible for the decline of the martial arts society. They are narrow-minded and can't stand others doing well. No matter if they are old or new, as long as they show more potential than them, they will join hands to exclude them and force them not to participate in the activities of the martial arts society. There used to be a lot of talented sophomores, juniors, and seniors, but now they have wasted at least a year and their courses are tight, so they can't improve anymore. Speaking of this, he laughed at himself. If I didn't have a good relationship with senior brother Sun Jian, I might have devoted myself to the professional courses. Senior brother Sun Jian can compete with Chen Zhanghua and Wu Dong. Lu Cheng was shocked. He didn't expect such a thing to happen in the martial arts society. Although senior brother Sun Jian is of amateur third pin like me, his father is a professor, so Chen Zhanghua and Wu Dong don't dare to do anything to him. But senior brother Sun Jian doesn't like to meddle, so he helps me and Lin Hua, well, his girlfriend. Li Mao explained. In other words, Wu Meng, Jiang Fusheng, and Li Xiaowen were relatively ordinary and not a threat, which could be seen from the fact that they were only of amateur fifth pin. I see. No wonder Kai Zhongming of amateur fifth pin received a call from the martial arts society first. Lu Qing suddenly understood. Fortunately, we have Lin Kai in this year. He beat Chen Zhanghua directly. Li Mao smiled. So you can focus on practicing martial arts. Don't worry about Chen Zhanghua and Wu Dong's bad luck. Well, I'll teach you some moves and force exertion techniques. Although they were called moves, they were actually the simplest things like straight punches, elbows, knees, and so on. They were combined with footwork and force exertion techniques such as uppercuts, sliding steps, and cushioning steps. The focus was on the latter, but if the footwork and posture were wrong, it would be difficult to exert force. Lu Qing studied diligently. Because of the yin-yang stance, his coordination ability was better than a beginner's, so he soon got the hang of it. He began to practice more to familiarize himself with it. Unknowingly, it was the last half hour. Li Mao called for a stop and asked Gizershur. Then he smiled and said, "Junior brother Lu, come, let's practice." "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." Lu Qing suddenly tensed up. He was a little panicked, but also a little excited. This was his first practice. Chapter 13. Seeing Lu Cheng's expression, Li Mao couldn't help but laugh. "Junior brother Lu, don't be nervous. Being too nervous will affect your performance, resulting in stiff movements and distorted force. Of course, you have to be a little nervous during a martial arts competition. In our professional words, it stimulates the secretion of adrenaline. Therefore, a real martial artist must reach the level of tense but not panic. Alas, I can't do it. I'm so nervous that my body trembles when participating in an amateur ranking event. Fortunately, my opponents were either too weak or even more nervous than me." This was the experience of a senior brother. Lu Qing expressed his gratitude with his eyes and kept it in mind. Then he took a deep breath to suppress his panic and put on the starting posture taught by Li Mao. His feet were straight and his back was slightly arched, like a wild cat ready to strike. Li Mao also put on the starting posture and said calmly, "Let me show you some moves." After saying that, he took a step forward, put strength in his feet, twisted his waist, and punched his right hand toward Lu Cheng's neck. It was the simplest move, straight to the middle palace. Lu Qing subconsciously wanted to dodge and quickly dodged to the side. But at this moment, he suddenly tripped and lost his center of gravity. He didn't even have time to use the coordination and control ability of yin-yang stance, and fell to the ground. At some point, Li Mao's right foot had followed and quietly kicked out. It was not above the ankle and blocked the direction of Lu Cheng's dodge. In a martial arts competition, it's not that you can't dodge and it's not that you have to face it head-on. But you must pay attention to the footwork and the opponent's movements. Tripping is a classic move. You just forgot your identity as a martial artist and dodged like an ordinary person. Your footwork was messed up and your eyes were only on my fist. Li Mao stretched out his right hand and pulled Lu Qing up, pointing out his mistake. Digest it and we'll continue. Lu Qing quietly pondered, recalling what had just happened and keeping the problem in mind. Then he put on the starting posture again. This time, Li Mao approached with agile footwork. Lu Qing opened his eyes wide and watched every move of his body. Is it the right fist or the left fist? Is it a kick or an elbow to the back? If it's the right fist, how can I dodge with footwork? If it's the left fist, will I have a chance to fight back? Thoughts flashed through Lu Cheng's mind as he considered his own countermeasures. However, before he could think clearly, Li Mao had already closed in on him. With a spin of his feet, he stuck close to Lu Cheng's body. Then, with an elbow strike, Lu Cheng took 2 steps back. Although Li Mao didn't use much strength, it still made Lu Cheng's chest feel stuffy and painful. Throughout the entire process, his thoughts were in chaos, and he was at a loss. He was even worse than the first time, and he couldn't even make a move to dodge. Lu Cheng was momentarily stunned. Li Mao turned around and smiled. Under normal circumstances, our thoughts are indeed faster. We can think of many things in a second, and our bodies can't keep up with our brains. However, during a duel, it's usually the brain that can't keep up with the body. We think too much, hesitate, and can't make a decision. This is the meaning of repeated practice, and the meaning of battle experience. It allows us to internalize most situations into our instincts, and when we need to observe and judge, we can quickly make a decision. Junior brother Lu, don't worry. Everyone is like this during their first duel. I was even worse than you back then. Sometimes it's easy to imagine a martial arts competition. Lu Qing laughed at himself. He understood where his problem lay. Once again, he got into his starting position. Li Mao used the same technique again. He stepped forward and punched. The power started from his feet, went through his waist and went through his spine. Lu Qing learned his lesson from the previous 2 times. He quickly made a decision. He suddenly lowered his body and was about to throw himself at Li Mao's legs. Suddenly, he felt a heavy weight on his back. Li Mao changed his fist into a palm and pressed down. Lu Cheng's body was just about to leap forward, so he fell to the ground with a light push. He ate a mouthful of mud. Not bad. You maintained your footwork and made a quick decision. But you're still inexperienced. You can't predict the next changes. Li Mao praised Lu Cheng and pulled him up. Lu Cheng was in a good mood. Being able to see his own progress was truly a pleasure in life. Therefore, he became more focused on the sparring session again and again. He slowly mastered the basic moves, the corresponding footwork, and the techniques of exerting force in actual combat. Class is almost over. This is the last time. Li Mao looked at the digital clock hanging on the wall of the martial arts gym. Lu Cheng nodded. He went through what he had learned and the practice in his mind. He had an impulse to try to do something on his own initiative. He stood still and visualized the Jin Dan in his lower abdomen. He half entered the state of steadfast mind. While feeling the subtle changes in his body, he kept an eye on Li Mao. Li Mao smiled at Lu Cheng's cautiousness. He stepped forward and punched again. Lu Cheng leaned his body and shifted his center of gravity to the right. Then he suddenly exerted force to change his muscles. He quickly adjusted his center of gravity to the left. With a sidestep, he dodged Li Mao's fist. However, Li Mao's right leg that followed up with a kick to the left of his own body missed. Chance. Li Mao didn't withdraw his right foot. His center of gravity was unstable. This is the chance. Lu Qing lowered his shoulder and imitated Chen Zhanghua yesterday. He exerted force in his feet and bumped into Li Mao like a fierce bull. Li Mao saw this and hurriedly jumped sideways with the help of his right foot. Then he blocked the side with his hands. Bam! Lu Qing bumped into Li Mao, but he could only push Li Mao 1 step back. Then Li Mao grabbed his shoulder and stretched out his left foot. He tripped Lu Qing again and fell. Bam! Lu Qing fell to the ground. He didn't look like he was in pain. Instead, he looked a little happy because he had perfectly executed the expected action. Not bad. This is only our first sparring session, and you almost made me fail miserably. Li Mao walked over with a smile and pulled Lu Qing up. But you didn't have enough strength to make me lose my center of gravity. Lu Qing patted the dust off his body and laughed. It's mainly because you used this move too many times. I had an idea. He had only started training a few days ago. Obviously, the increase in strength couldn't appear out of thin air. Senior Li Mao didn't seem to realize that he had used the yin-yang stance. Class is over. Go home and find your mothers. At this time, Geezer sure blew the whistle and shouted, remember to be on time tomorrow. Well, let's go wash up in the locker room. Li Mao pointed at Lin Kei's back. He was walking into the locker room. In the martial arts club, the locker room was a sacred place. Only qualified and permitted members could use it. If Lu Qing didn't join the special training, he obviously couldn't enter. All the facilities in the martial arts club were funded by the school. Therefore, both the training field and the strength training gym were open to the whole school. Only the locker room was off limits. Of course, the training field and the strength training gym were open to the whole school for a limited time so as not to disturb the practice of the martial arts club members. After the practice, Lu Qing didn't have the mood to hang around with the rough guy Li Mao. He turned to look at Yan Zhika and found that she and Guo Qing seemed to have become friends. They were walking to the female locker room with a smile. Many male students were watching them covetously. They wanted to strike up a conversation but didn't dare to approach. No wonder the Casanova said that when you took the first step to strike up a conversation, you had already won more than 80% of potential love rivals. 80% of guys didn't even dare to strike up a conversation. They could only watch from afar and act all kinds of touching feelings in their hearts. After hinting to Li Mao that he had something to do, Lu Qing quickened his pace and caught up with Yan Zhika and Guo Qing. He deliberately panted and said, "How was it? How was the practice?" There were only a dozen members in the special training. Guo Qing saw Lu Qing and Yan Zhika standing together before, so she didn't feel strange and just watched with a smile. As for Li Mao, who was behind Lu Qing, he shook his head and sighed that these people were more interested in the opposite sex than in humanity. He slowly walked to the male locker room not far away. Yan Zhika pursed her lips and smiled. "I'm okay. You're more miserable. We saw you getting beaten up all the time." "Yeah, it's my first practice. I'm a bit flustered." While talking, Lu Qing suddenly frowned. He didn't feel the soreness until now. It should be the bruises caused by the practice just now. Seeing this, Yan Zhika smiled and said, "Are there a lot of soreness?" "Yes." Lu Qing answered honestly. "Is it because you don't have the medicine wine and ointment to remove bruises?" Yan Zhika smiled. "Yes." Lu Qing nodded honestly. Yan Zhika slightly raised her chin and looked around. "I know you guys don't remember to prepare these things until you need to use them. Huh, that's why I'm called a rough man." Lu Qing smiled and responded. Yan Zhika chuckled, with some charm in her beauty. Then she said, "Wait a minute. I happen to have a jar of extra ointment made by a martial arts family. I guarantee that all your bruises will be gone by tomorrow." Okay. Lu Qing was stunned and suddenly burst with joy. Seeing Yan Zhika and Guo Qing walking into the female locker room, Lu Qing had an impulse to hum a song. He laughed complacently. While laughing, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. Strange gazes were cast at him from all directions. He turned around and saw the group of boys who wanted to strike up a conversation but didn't dare to. How long can your enthusiasm last? Maybe you won't come to the special training tomorrow or the day after. Lu Qing criticized them silently. A few minutes later, Yan Zhika came out with a dark brown glass jar in her hand. She handed it to Lu Qing. "Apply this to the bruises and massage for 5 minutes to dissolve the medicine." Lu Qing took the ointment and said in an exaggerated tone, Thank you, thank you. You are indeed the kind-hearted Yenjika. Yenjika spread out her hand. 30 yuan. You're welcome. Ah. Lu Cheng was stunned with a blank face. Yenjika smiled again and her eyes curved. I'm kidding. You are really, ah. Lu Cheng was infected by her smile and didn't feel embarrassed. After chatting for a while, they went back to their respective locker rooms. The locker room was very large. There were 3 metal benches against the wall at the entrance for the members of the martial arts club to rest, chat, arrange and explain their opponents during the competition. There were dozens of locked wardrobes on the opposite wall. Lin Ke, Chen Zhanghua and other members of the special training of amateur rank had their own wardrobes. Lu Cheng and the others could only use temporary wardrobes. After passing through this place, there were many cubicles. Each cubicle had a shower, a small compartment for toiletries and changing clothes. At the end of the cubicle was a toilet with 3 squatting seats. Lu Cheng picked an open cubicle and was about to enter it when he saw Lin Ke coming out from the side. He was drying his hair and walking forward. Lu Cheng nodded and greeted him subconsciously. Lin Ke also nodded slightly but didn't say anything. Lin Ke doesn't look as arrogant as I thought. Lu Cheng shook his head. He entered the cubicle, took off his clothes and turned on the shower. It's great that I don't have to line up in the school bathroom. After the shower, he took out the jar of ointment and began to apply it with a smile. In the evening, Lu Cheng went back to the dormitory after class. After washing up, he planned to relax. He gathered Kai Zongming, Qin Mo, Tang Wen, Qiu Zhigao and the others to play a game online. He would chat with Yenjika after he went to bed. A perfect day would pass. While he was enjoying the game, his phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and saw a strange number. Who is it? Lu Cheng answered in confusion. Hello, Lu Cheng. It's time to go to bed. Prepare yourself for sleep. A hoarse voice came. It's Geezer sure. Lu Cheng answered subconsciously, okay. Damn, he's calling to supervise my sleep. I can't live like this. Chapter 14. After hanging up the phone, Lu Cheng clenched his teeth. But when he thought of the beautiful future he hoped for, he still got rid of the temptation of the game with great perseverance. He used the excuse of the crash in exchange for a few angry curses. He climbed into bed. There were still 10 minutes before Geezershir's bedtime. He sighed and took out his phone. He logged into QQ and clicked open a conversation with Yenjika. Another tired and sore day. Lying in bed, I feel like a dead dog, woof woof woof. Yenjika replied with 3 words. Lu Cheng couldn't help but laugh. You too? I chose the special training. I have to finish it even if I have to kneel. Yenjika sent a cute emoji with arms akimbo. Yeah, I have to finish this semester. Lu Cheng didn't dare to brag. He changed the topic. I never thought you would be so different on the internet. That, woof woof woof, just now made me laugh to death. As he spoke, he sent a crying and laughing emoji. Yenjika sent a shy emoji. I don't have the burden of an idol. Unconsciously, Lu Cheng was in a good mood. They chatted until 10:30. With unparalleled perseverance, he said goodnight to Yenjika and fell into a deep sleep with hopes and dreams. The next day, the alarm clock rang on time. Lu Cheng woke up with a start. He quickly turned it off for fear of disturbing his roommates. If it weren't for the fact that the new campus was in the suburbs and couldn't rent a house, he would have moved out so as not to disturb others. Lu Cheng climbed out of bed and washed his face with cold water. He was completely awake. Then he changed into the 3rd set of exercise clothes, which was also his last set. It was late autumn and the first set was still in use. It seemed that he had to buy another set to form a virtuous cycle. After brushing his teeth, Lu Qing picked up the key that Geyser asked someone to give him and quietly left the room. He went down the stairs and opened the dormitory door under the dim light of the street lamps. He slowly ran to the lakeside in the silent mist. It was still a few minutes before 5:50, but Geyser was already waiting there with a bicycle beside him. Master got here earlier than me. Lu Qing suddenly felt grateful. He ran over and bowed respectfully. Not bad. I didn't have to call to urge you. Geyser laughed. Before I teach you the other stances, let's do some long-distance running. Long-distance running? Lu Qing asked in confusion. What was the point of long-distance running when he had the Jin Dan to recover fatigue? Geyser took out a cigarette and lit it. In the body-refining stage, it's enough to rely on explosive force, muscle strength, and footwork. But you have to remember that the key point of the Danqi stage is not the Qi, but the Dan. The harmony of the body is almost perfect, and the strength, willpower, and muscles are integrated into one. They work in harmony and have absolute reaction, just like a big Dan. Therefore, it's hard for the body to reach this stage without endurance. Why is it that ordinary martial arts schools, high school martial arts clubs, university martial arts clubs, and ordinary martial arts dojos rarely produce martial artists of the Danqi realm, even if they don't lack good pole-standing skills? It's just that they lack similar knowledge. Don't be fooled by my simple words. A single sentence of truth is equivalent to 10,000 books of lies. Disciple understands. Lu Qing was troubled. But do we really have to run? Geyser clicked his tongue and said, don't be afraid of difficulties, hardships, and tiredness. Which strong martial artist didn't go through this? Don't worry. I'll follow you and supervise you. Then he smiled maliciously. Of course. I'm old and weak. I don't have any stamina. You run. I'll ride. He patted the bicycle beside him. He was very satisfied. Are you sure? Lu Qing looked at Geyser with hesitation and sincerity. Run for me. You're so young. Don't be afraid of tiring. Geyser pulled a long face. After a long time, Lu Qing continued to run in front of Geyser with a straight face. Geyser rode his bicycle and fell behind in the distance. He was out of breath as he pedaled. His lungs were like bellows. Stop, you brat. Stop. You want to tire me to death. Lu Qing stopped and held back his laughter. He deliberately panted and watched Geyser climb mountains and wade through rivers to catch up. What did you eat when you were growing up? Why practice martial arts? Practice long-distance running. Geyser was out of breath. It's you who let me run. Lu Qing's eyes were full of innocence. But this long-distance running was rewarding. Compared to before, his stamina had improved significantly. Unlike the day when he first got the Jin Dan, he was out of breath after a short jog and needed the Jin Dan to replenish his stamina. Today, he ran at least several times the distance of normal jogging. In other words, the Jin Dan's recovery of fatigue would not affect the improvement of his stamina. Because of this recovery, his stamina improvement was far beyond normal. Thinking of this, Lu Qing almost couldn't hide his smile. After a while, Geyser finally calmed down. He said with a dark face, you can't stop running in the future. But you can't be lazy. After that, he took Lu Qing to a quiet place nearby and explained the thunder sex lightning and fire stance's ice sex condensation stance in detail. The former was mainly to train the body's explosive force. The latter was to train the senses and improve concentration. Coupled with the yin-yang stance to control the body's coordination, strength training, long-distance running training, and footwork training, they formed a complete training system. According to Geyser, he replaced the thunder stance with the ice sex condensation stance. Although the effect was not better, it was more suitable for people like Lu Qing who had missed the best training time. In pole standing, every extra effort Lu Qing put in, he could clearly see the corresponding gains. Naturally, He was obsessed with it and didn't slack off. The following special training became more and more diligent. Because there was no class on Thursday night, he relaxed and filled with motivation. On Friday night, Luqing returned to the dormitory with his school bag slung over his shoulder. Before he entered the small room, he heard the laughter inside. What's so lively? He opened the door and saw Kai Zhongming sitting in his seat. Did you forget? Today we had a get-together with the girls in the dormitory. Model worker Zhang Jingye replied with a smile. Hey, how was it? Although Luqing didn't want to go, he was very interested in this matter and was very concerned about their follow-up. Kai Zhongming smiled proudly and said, Cheng, with me there, how could the result be bad? Yeah, we're even considering giving Casanova a new nickname. You don't know, but he completely controls the atmosphere. Just by opening his mouth, he can make the girls in front of him laugh non-stop. For this kind of person, we feel that all his abilities and strengths are in his mouth. Zhao Cheng, the head of the dormitory, was also full of smiles. Therefore, according to the naming convention of the Battle of the Kings, we're going to call him Talker. Are you praising me or insulting me? Kai Zhongming seemed to be very satisfied with this nickname. Yes, once the Talker comes out, the pack of wolves will bow down, Luqing teased. He raised his eyebrows and said, Don't think you can get away with it. I'm asking about the get-together dormitory. Not bad. Old Xiu held back for a long time and squeezed out 2 words. Kai Zhongming smiled and said, Not bad indeed. There's a beauty, a real beauty. Yeah, Zhuang Xiaojun is really beautiful. She looks good without glasses, but she also looks good with glasses. Zhang Jingye echoed, Unfortunately, I heard from Guoqing that she has a boyfriend. Not a boyfriend, just a suitor who is close to you, Zhao Cheng retorted. Luqing was stunned. Guoqing. Why does this name sound so familiar? Yes, Guoqing of the martial arts club, the one who trained with you. What a coincidence, fate. Kai Zhongming smiled and said, She seems to like old Xiu. Bah, no such thing. Qiu Zhigao quickly denied. I feel the same. She has been asking old Xiu all kinds of questions. You two are a good match. Zhao Cheng agreed. Zhang Jingye also said, Old Xiu, don't deny it. When we last talked with Pan Shui, she also said that Guoqing was satisfied with you. Old Xiu, just sacrifice your body. The dormitory will be closer in the future, and Cheng, model worker, and Zhuang Xiaojun will have more chances to meet. Kai Zhongming joked. Zhao Cheng and Zhang Jingye laughed. Old Xiu looked at Luqing helplessly. Cheng, they are obsessed. Only you can do justice to them. Well. Guoqing and Yan Zhika's relationship seems to be getting better. Luqing held back his laughter and said righteously, Old Xiu, just give in. Get lost. Old Xiu was angry and amused. Luqing stopped joking and changed the topic. Guoqing, Zhuang Xiaojun, what about the other 2 girls? Pan Shui. One is Pan Shui, the other is Yu Fangfang. Yu Fangfang is introverted and looks, well, average. Kai Zhongming said, Pan Shui is small, lively, easy to get along with, and cute. But she has a boyfriend. Zhang Jingye interrupted, or some South Asian exchange student. Ah, from our school? Luqing asked. Yeah, those South Asian exchange students smell so bad. Every time I see them, I want to pinch my nose. I don't know why Pan Shui likes him. Zhao Cheng sighed. Old Xiu added, Guoqing said they met at the foreign language corner. Ah, the foreign language corner was created for this kind of thing. Zhao Cheng said righteously. Yes. Our good girl, damn foreign language corner. Zhang Jingye and Old Xiu agreed. At this moment, Zhao Cheng suddenly stood up, took out a book and was about to leave. Hey, Cheng, where are you going? Kai Zhongming and Luqing asked at the same time, confused. Zhao Cheng turned around and nodded solemnly. it's still early. I'm going to the foreign language corner to practice my English. Pfft. Lu Qing almost spat out his saliva. Chang, why do you always betray the revolution with your thick eyebrows and big eyes? The rest of them laughed. Even Zhao Chang couldn't help but blush. At this moment, Lu Cheng's phone rang. It was Geezer Shi. Lu Qing thought to himself, is he trying to rush me to sleep again? Hello. There was someone else in the dormitory, so he didn't call his master. Geezer Shi said on the other end of the phone, book yourself a train ticket to Pingjiang City at 7:00 p.m. tomorrow. There's only one train at that time. Lu Qing was confused. Pingjiang City? Yes, Pingjiang City, Shanbei Province. Geezer Shi said in a low voice, don't ask why. Wait for me at the train station at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow. Chapter 15. After hanging up the phone, Lu Qing was still confused. Why was he suddenly asked to go to Pingjiang City? Worried thoughts popped up in his mind. Human traffickers, pyramid schemers, did Geezer Shi have another, part-time job? Would there be any danger on this trip? Kai Zongming saw Lu Cheng's expression and patted him on the shoulder. Let's go, Cheng. Let's go out for a smoke. After thinking for a while, Lu Cheng followed her out and came to the living balcony. He leaned on the railing with both hands and looked down at the courtyard of Building 7. It was still early before the lights out, so there were many students coming and going. Some were carrying hot water bottles, some were carrying books, some were carrying snacks, and some were in pairs, standing outside the gate under the gaze of the dormitory manager who was reluctant to leave. Songqing University's dormitory buildings were small communities. Each building had 4 units that surrounded a yard. There were flower beds, street lights, and table tennis tables. Lu Cheng's unit was facing the gate. What's wrong, Cheng? Kai Zongming took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. He didn't light it. Yesterday, Lu Cheng told his roommates that he had started to quit smoking. Kai Zongming took it as a joke and mentioned it to his girlfriend in a video call. Then his girlfriend forced him to quit smoking, saying that he should learn from Lu Cheng's example. Lu Cheng decided to reveal a little. Casanova, forget it. I'll call you Talker so you don't keep nagging me. Didn't I sign up for the special training of the martial arts club? Half of it was to pursue, you know. Half of it was because I found that I had the talent of keeping one mind when I was practicing the yin-yang stance. Then Geezer Shi also found it and decided to focus on training me. Kai Zongming's mouth twitched. Cheng, we're still good friends if you don't brag. Really? Lu Cheng tried to make his eyes look sincere. Kai Zongming stared at him. Really? Really? Lu Cheng's tone was unusually firm. Wow, I didn't see it coming, Cheng. Kai Zongming knew Lu Cheng's character and finally believed him. He patted Lu Cheng on the shoulder and smiled. Don't forget your friends when you're rich. If you can become the pillar of the martial arts club in the future, I'll be proud of you when I tell others. It seems that there's a saying that it's easier for a simple-minded person to enter meditation. Can't you say something nicer? Lu Cheng glanced at him. Yes, yes, yes. You can't judge a book by its cover. I have eyes but fail to recognize Mount Tai. Brother Lu Cheng, no, Master Cheng, let me ride on your coattails. Kai Zongming said exaggeratedly. The two laughed for a while. Lu Cheng continued, Geezer Shi called me out of the blue just now and asked me to book a train ticket to Pingjiang City with him tomorrow night. Pingjiang? Kai Zongming asked subconsciously. The capital of Shanbei Province? Yeah, I don't know where to go, so I'm a little worried. Lu Cheng sighed. Geezer Shi was invited by the headmaster himself, so there shouldn't be any problem. Besides, Cheng, you don't have the looks, talent, or money. Why would I kidnap you? Maybe it's because of the university martial arts competition. Shanbei University is in Pingjiang. Kai Zongming said sarcastically. That makes sense. Lu Cheng nodded. Could it be that Geezer sure wanted to check out the details of Shanbei University, the champion of last year's university martial arts competition, so he brought his cheap disciple along for a free trip? But why did he have to pay for the ticket himself? Seeing Lu Cheng heave a sigh of relief, Kai Zongming suddenly changed the topic and said with a wretched smile, I've heard that some perverted old men are obsessed with the bodies of children or young people of the same sex because of their aging bodies. They want to reminisce about their past. Do you think Geezer sure will? Bah. Lu Cheng almost vomited just thinking about Kai Zongming's description, but he was inexplicably scared and worried. What if? It was better to be safe than sorry. Kai Zongming laughed and then said in a sly tone, but don't worry, Cheng. Even if Geezer sure is a pervert, his target should be Lin Quebec. I'm a talented and good-looking guy, so I won't fall for you. Thank you for your comfort. Lu Cheng said, gnashing his teeth. After Kai Zongming's interruption, he recovered his mood. He washed his face with the hot water left in the bottle, soaked his feet, brushed his teeth and went to bed. He didn't dare to turn on the computer for fear that he would be too tempted by this bitch to sleep. Lu Cheng lay flat, took out his phone, and went straight to QQ without checking the forum. Let me tell you a piece of gossip. Lu Cheng sent a laughing emoji to Yenjika. After a few seconds, Yenjika replied, what kind of gossip? From high school? No. When I went back to the dormitory after class, I found that those guys had a social gathering with the girls' dormitory tonight. It's from the Chinese department, Guoqing's dormitory. Lu Cheng considered his tone, implicitly mentioning that he didn't join the social gathering. Yenjika sent a dumbfounded emoji. What a coincidence. How did you guys end up at Guoqing's dormitory? Our dormitory's old show saw that someone had written a girl's dormitory phone number on the desk in the classroom. They were afraid that it was a prank, so they changed the ending number and replaced it with the number 32 of our dormitory room 302. Then it turned out that Guoqing's dormitory was right opposite. Lu Cheng shared the whole story. You two dormitories seemed to be fated to meet. Did they agree to the social gathering just like that? Yenjika asked excitedly. Lu Cheng replied with a snickering emoji. Maybe it's because I've just entered the school in my first year. Everything is new to me and I'm curious about everything. I'm also interested in this kind of random social gathering. When I'm in my second year, I'm more experienced and knowledgeable. That's true. Yenjika sent an emoji of crossing her fingers and holding her chin in deep thought. If we meet in our dormitory, I'll probably agree. It's quite interesting. By the way, it's said that Guoqing has taken a liking to our dormitory's old show. Lu Cheng revealed important gossip. Ah. Yenjika sent an emoji of shining eyes. Really? It said that. Several guys in our dormitory can feel it. Her roommates also say so in private. Lu Cheng wasn't sure. Oh. Yenjika replied quickly. What do you think of old show? I have to help Qing check him out. He's quite strong, which makes him a good match for Guoqing. He's also quite honest and easy to get along with. He's half a study maniac. Lu Cheng told her his impression of Old Xiu. Of course, as the source of their dormitory seeds, Old Xiu was a good person who benefited everyone. This kind of thing was not worth mentioning. With this gossip, the two chatted happily. Before they knew it, it was already 10:30. Lu Cheng endured the heartache and reluctantly said goodnight, saying that the special training and classes were too busy and tiring. After another round of sparring, Geezer Sure announced that today's special training and Saturday's martial arts class were over. The special training on Sunday was postponed to 9 o'clock because he had something to do. This news immediately caused a burst of cheers. For the members who participated in the special training, they could finally sleep for one more hour. After a few days of suffering, most of the freshmen who had clamored to join had left. Only 2 were still persisting. But according to Lu Cheng's observation, he would probably not see them next week. At this time, he saw Yenjika and Guoqing walking over together. They didn't need to be close to him like before. Cheng, right? So it's your dormitory's social gathering. As soon as they met, Guoqing said straightforwardly, what a coincidence. By the way, why didn't you join? I happen to have something to do, so I let little Ming, Kai Zongming, take the place. Lu Qing glanced at Yan Zhika and saw that her expression was normal. Guoqing did not ask further. She smiled and said, we're all members of the martial arts club, and we're all in the same dormitory. It's fate that brings us together. Besides, we had a good chat last night. Why don't we pick another time? Next weekend or the weekend after that? Our dormitory mates can go hiking or karaoke. Or find a place with barbecue for a picnic. This girl is quite straightforward and very active. Lu Qing hesitated and didn't directly agree. He was thinking about what excuse he could find to not go. And this kind of thing had to be discussed with old Xiao, Chang, and model worker. He couldn't make a decision on his own. But judging from their praise for Zhuang Xiaojun, they would definitely follow. Just as he was hesitating, Guoqing turned to Yan Zhika and said, Kai Zongming was there yesterday. It's not good to not invite him next time. Including Cheng, there will be 5 boys. Although it doesn't matter if there are fewer girls, you and Cheng are old classmates. Why don't you go together? Yan Zhika said with interest, okay, it's my first social gathering. Then it's settled. Next week or the week after that. Lu Qing agreed without hesitation. As for Chang and Xiaoming's opinions? Who cares if they die? Guoqing's face was full of joy. Okay, let's go back and calculate the schedule. We'll see which day is suitable. This conversation was really pleasant. A group of boys in the peak of their hormones naturally agreed to the request of the social gathering dormitory without any hesitation. Kai Zongming was also very interested in similar activities. Saturday afternoon was a rare break for Lu Qing. He browsed the forum, read novels, chatted with Yan Zhika, and played games with his roommates who didn't go out. He felt relaxed and comfortable, which he hadn't felt in a long time. At 5:00, he stuffed his change of clothes into his school bag and went out to take the school bus to the downtown area. Then he booked a taxi online to go to the train station. Fortunately, Mom gave me an extra 800 yuan this month. Otherwise, I wouldn't have enough money. Lu Qing followed the crowd and went through the security check step by step. He touched his wallet while he was at it. When he arrived at the ticket gate, it was only 6:00. He chatted on the forum and QQ group while waiting for Gieserscher's arrival. At 6:40, Gieserscher arrived in his old t-shirt. He praised Lu Qing. Not bad, you're very punctual. During the morning practice, Lu Qing was very focused and didn't ask much about going to Pingjiang. When he saw Gieserscher, the crazy words of Kai Zongming suddenly flashed in his mind. He couldn't help but take a step back and put some distance between them. Why are you looking at me like that? Gieserscher looked at him in confusion. No, nothing. I'm just curious about what we're going to do in Pingjiang. Lu Qing said dryly. Damn it, it's all because of little Ming's nonsense. I'm a little confused because of him. I'll let you know when it's time. Gieserscher didn't care. When the time came, Lu Qing got on the bus and sat down. Lu Qing was very nervous and uneasy. He only answered Gieserscher's questions. Fortunately, their tickets were not in the same carriage. He let out a long sigh of relief. It was only an hour and a half from Songqing to Pingjiang. Lu Qing took a short nap and arrived at this historical provincial capital. They got on the taxi. As expected, Gieserscher's destination was Shanbei University. Lu Qing relaxed a little. But soon, he became nervous again because they stepped into a hotel that looked like a guest house. If it was a standard room with 2 beds, 1 room. Lu Qing felt a little nervous. 2 rooms. Gieserscher took out the money and ID. Hearing this, Lu Qing finally calmed down. He cursed Kai Zongming in his heart for spouting nonsense. starting tomorrow at the usual time," Gizershur said before entering the room. It was a silent night. Lu Qing could occasionally hear the heart-wrenching coughs next door. The next day at 5:40 a.m., he finished washing up and left the hotel with Gizershur. They entered the campus of Shanbei University. They came to a corner of a big sports ground. Gizershur observed for a moment and pointed at a boy who was practicing slow motion in the distance. "Do you see that guy?" Lu Qing gazed over and saw that Shanbei University was still submerged in the night scenery. Under a ginkgo tree, yellow leaves fluttered in the wind. A boy in a white martial arts suit was practicing his martial arts. Lu Qing could barely see his face because of the darkness, but he could feel his high level of martial arts from his punches and kicks. "I see him," he answered, puzzled. "He came to Pingjiang just to see this boy?" Gizershur chuckled. "His name is Peng Lian. He entered Shanbei University last year. At that time, he had already reached the realm of body-refining Big Dan and Qi generation. He was a professional 8th pin fighter. After that, he defeated the head of the martial arts club and led Shanbei University to the semi-finals. He won the National University Martial Arts Competition." "He's Peng Lian?" Lu Qing had heard this name many times in the forum. He didn't expect to see the real person today. He was said to be a genius among geniuses. He had a good chance of reaching the top 3 pin. Gizershur nodded slightly. He is a direct disciple of the Shangqing sect and the nephew of the current warrior sage, Qian Donglu. He liked to think since he was young and often said, "Martial arts need to be derived from nature." What is nature? Physics and biology. That was why he chose to enter the physics department of Shanbei University last year. The reason I brought you here is to show you that this kind of true genius, a genius with status and background, does not slack in the slightest on the martial path. No matter how much he likes to play, go to bars, and play games, he will start on time at 5:30 every day. No matter what day you come, you can see him. You see, we came here on a whim, but we still saw him. Even such geniuses are working so hard. If you want to catch up to them, how can you not suffer more and suffer more? Lu Qing was surprised at Peng Lian's background at first, but he was gradually shaken by Gizershur's words. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, and if he had been mentally prepared, such a scene might not have had such an effect. But when he and others came to Shanbei on the spur of the moment, they still saw Peng Lian getting up at 5 o'clock a.m., working day and night, and persisting in training. He could not help but be shocked. Only when there was a comparison could there be enlightenment. This was a real genius. He was like this, let alone himself. You saw and understood. Then you can go back. Gizershur turned around and left with his hands behind his back. Chapter 16. After the trip to Pingjiang, Lu Qing felt that he had calmed down, really calmed down, from the inside out. In the past, he had gritted his teeth and persevered with great perseverance in the face of hard training every day. He was even firmer because every little bit of effort paid off. But in the end, he had to be patient in order to achieve the professional 9th pin in 1 or 2 years. For the sake of winning Yan Zhika's favor, for the sake of a bright future, he was eager for quick success and instant benefits. This kind of mentality could indeed drive him to practice hard in a short time. But when he encountered certain setbacks, when his achievements were not as expected, he would inevitably feel even more depressed and lost, tormenting his mind and bringing unpredictable consequences. Guard against arrogance and rashness. It was a good rule from ancient times. He was not arrogant, but he was restless. After calming down, Lu Qing gradually integrated the daily training into his life. He was calm, gentle, and firm. Even his temperament seemed to have changed, which made Kai Zhongming quite surprised. He often teased, "Did Qing encounter the unspoken rules? Why do I feel that his temperament has changed a lot?" Facing his words, Lu Qing only said a few words indifferently, "Come here, I'll strangle you." 2 weeks passed unknowingly. Lu Qing felt that he seemed to have broken through a bottleneck and stepped into a new level in yin-yang stance, thunder and fire stance, and condensation stance. His ability to coordinate his body at will improved significantly. His temporary explosive force in 2 or 3 moves improved significantly. His concentration and calmness in martial arts competitions improved significantly. His slightly myopic eyes seemed to have recovered their original clarity. Sometimes he could even feel others' gazes. It was Saturday morning again. It was close to 12 o'clock. Li Mao stopped smiling and said solemnly, "Qing, this is the last time." Lu Qing nodded slightly and got into position, waiting for the second-year senior brother to feed him. Li Mao did not simply go straight for the middle, like 2 weeks ago. With a step, he swam to Lu Cheng's left side. His right hand became a palm knife, diagonally chopping toward Lu Cheng's neck. Lu Qing did not panic. He raised his left arm and blocked Li Mao's palm. But before he could counterattack, Li Mao took another step and came behind him. But when Li Mao's foot landed, Lu Qing kicked back without warning. It seemed that he had been prepared. "All right." He praised and took another step forward, dodging the kick. Then he used his footwork and circled around Lu Qing like a dragon. At this point, Lu Qing no longer had to deliberately maintain his half-silent and half-alert state. His mind seemed to be divided and converging at the same time. He focused on observing his opponent's movements while calmly and quickly making decisions, countering each move as it came. He firmly defended himself and didn't get flustered by Li Mao's swimming body palm. After fighting for a while, Li Mao's footwork suddenly changed. He suddenly slid closer and followed up with a rushing step cannon fist. His fist was like a cannon, and the wind roared. It had the power to split open a mountain. Lu Qing didn't dare to take it head-on. He turned sideways and pushed his wrist. However, one of Li Mao's feet had already come in between his legs. If he placed it well, it could be used as a fulcrum for his throwing technique. At the same time, it could also affect Lu Qing. Lu Qing wouldn't dare to use his various footwork, making it difficult for him to exert his strength. Seeing this, Lu Qing's mind was full of ideas and countermeasures. However, he didn't hesitate and made a decision in an instant. He took a step back. Li Mao took a step forward, and he took another step back. Again. It was as if the two were dancing a tacit dance, and the distance between them didn't change much. Li Mao exhaled and stopped trying. He slid closer and used his feet as a source to drive his waist and back. His fists alternated like a chain of cannons, hitting rapidly. Lu Qing felt like he was in a storm and could be overturned at any time. He had to use all his strength to maintain his balance. However, he didn't lose his composure. He used his fists, elbows, and arms alternately to block. There was a sense of rhythm. His footwork wasn't messed up, and he kept himself in a relatively suitable position to exert strength. Under this kind of attack, if his footwork was messed up and he couldn't exert strength, he would be defeated in an instant. Lu Qing struggled to hold on with the chain cannon fist, tiger roar, and wind roar. He completely forgot about the passage of time. Just when he felt that he was about to reach his limit, Li Mao retreated and the pressure suddenly disappeared. He looked at him blankly and saw Li Mao shaking his head and smiling. "Time's up." The coach blew the whistle and dismissed the class. "This is our first tie." Lu Qing heaved a sigh of relief. Only then did he feel sore in his hands. He shook them and smiled. "Thanks for your mercy." This wasn't modesty, but the truth. Because it was just a teaching practice, Li Mao didn't use his full strength. It was more like a form of feeding. "You can't say that. If I didn't practice with you every day for more than 2 weeks and feel your obvious improvement every day, I definitely wouldn't believe that you are the same Qing from before," Li Mao said with emotion. "More than 2 weeks ago, you were a super rookie who didn't even fight much. You weren't fast, you weren't strong, and your reaction was slow. But now, you are worthy of the evaluation of proficient fist and foot." Proficient fist and foot. Lu Qing chewed on these words and felt a little joy in his heart. Although proficient fist and foot sounds like a description for a beginner, it is one of the standard evaluation for an amateur ninth pin. Li Mao said with a smile. Senior brother, you mean I've reached the level of an amateur ninth pin? Lu Qing asked with surprise. In less than 3 weeks, he had already reached the level of an amateur ninth pin? Li Mao nodded. Proficient fist and foot means you have the ability to use your moves skillfully and reasonably in a fight without messing up your footwork. This alone is better than 90% of the guys who fight randomly, so you must be an amateur ninth pin. But an amateur ninth pin doesn't necessarily mean proficient fist and foot. Some people have 2 obvious physical advantages. And the ranking event is a competition, not a form of evaluation. They take advantage of the fact that others can't break their defense and can knock down their opponents with one punch. They don't pay much attention to the proficiency of fist and foot movements. Well, I'll say it again. If I didn't practice with you every day, I'd probably ask my girlfriend to come out and watch the Emperor. Do you know how long it took me to reach the level of an amateur ninth pin from a beginner? I started martial arts at the age of 10 and passed the ranking event of amateur ninth pin at the age of 15. Although I didn't practice every day, it was 5 years. 5 years. You've only been practicing for 3 weeks. Lu Qing wasn't ecstatic. Instead, he smiled calmly and said, it's different. Most people who practice martial arts at a young age are in the growth period of their bodies. Their strength and other physical qualities grow little by little. It takes several years for them to be comparable to adults. But I'm already an adult. I don't need to wait for my body to grow up. Although it's true, it still proves that you have a strong talent. It's a pity that you didn't learn martial arts at the beginning. You missed the best time to practice martial arts. Li Mao said with regret. Then he patted Lu Qing on the shoulder and walked back to the locker room. Looking at his back, Lu Qing recalled the joy just now in his heart. 3 weeks to reach the level of an amateur ninth pin. When school starts next year, what rank will I be? Let's not talk about the long term. For now, my improved explosive force, calmness and concentration, as well as my improved coordination, haven't been fully integrated into my moves and footwork. There's always a faint barrier between them. When I break through this barrier and integrate them into one, what level of amateur pin will I be? Thinking about these things, Lu Qing walked quickly to the female locker room and caught up with Yanjika and Guoqing. The weather is so good today. It seems that God is blessing us, he said with a smile. After arranging everyone's time, the get-together was set for this afternoon. They would gather at 1:30 p.m. and go boating at Zhaoshan Lake. They would have a good meal in the evening. Considering that Lu Qing, Yanjika, and Guoqing had to get up early for special training, they didn't go to karaoke after dinner. Yanjika's black hair was tied up in a ponytail, which made her look more playful and energetic. I've always been the Teru Teru Bozu. I've never seen rain in all the spring and autumn outings I've participated in since I was young. You should thank me. Lu Qing was about to take advantage of the situation and say, okay, I'll treat you to dinner, or send you snacks, to thank you to show my sincerity. But Guoqing interrupted impatiently. We're going to meet later. What's the rush? You guys are not troublesome. It's just a meal. We have to clean up and wash our hair. Lu Qing almost blushed at her words. He smiled and said, then I'll go take a shower first. See you in the afternoon. See you in the afternoon. Yanjika waved her hand with a smile. Lu Qing resisted the urge to look back and entered the locker room. He sighed slightly in his heart. Through persistent conversations, greetings, pleasantries, and the natural closeness of a classmate, his relationship with Yanjika was getting better and better. She even started to call him by his nickname, Qing. But he always felt that something was missing and couldn't go any further. Just like in high school, there was always some politeness between a boy and a girl who didn't flirt with each other but had a good relationship with each other. What should he do next? After taking a shower and having lunch, Lu Qing returned to the dormitory. He saw Zhao Cheng, Zhang Jingye, and Qiu Zhigao were all choosing clothes to appear in front of the girls with their most energetic looks. Kai Zongming was beside them giving instructions. Not bad. Talker, you're so good. Lu Qing teased. Kai Zongming laughed. It's not that I'm good. It's just that they usually dress too single, including you. Lu Qing glanced at him and then turned to look at the busy dormitory. He lowered his voice and said to Kai Zongming, Casanova, do you think this guy wants to show off just because he knows some martial arts? Yeah. A hero uses martial arts to break the rules. Kai Zongming looked at Lu Qing from head to toe and pretended to be frightened. Qing, don't tell me you're thinking of putting that slogan into practice? You'll go to jail. What are you thinking about? Lu Qing laughed and scolded him. What I mean is, when I didn't know any martial arts, if I went out with Yenjika, I definitely hoped that it would be a safe trip. No black cars, no hooligans, no road robbers. In short, it would be a smooth trip without any twists and turns. But now, I'm kind of looking forward to meeting some hooligans in the afternoon. If I meet some brainless rich second-generation official, then I can be the hero to save the beauty. Kai Zongming didn't refute. He just calmly replied, wake up. Your goddess is better than you. And there's old Xiao, an amateur sixth pin, and me and Guoqing. You won't be the hero to save the beauty. You're right. Lu Cheng's mouth twitched. Well, there's no way to trick him. Chapter 17. Watching Zhao Cheng change his clothes and take the gel to the bathroom, Lu Qing suddenly felt a little nervous. He wasn't as calm as when he was practicing martial arts, neither arrogant nor impatient. Talker, Casanova, what should I wear? He asked shamelessly. Kai Zongming crossed his arms and said proudly, now you know to ask me. Wear your martial arts suit if you have the ability. People like Chang, model worker, and old Xiao, who have neither good looks nor temperament, should wear light-colored clothes. At least they look clean and energetic. You used to be like them, but have you taken the wrong medicine recently? You're so obsessed with practicing martial arts that you've become like a human and a dog. You've become more sophisticated. You can wear dark-colored clothes. Just wear that black casual shirt of yours and that short leather jacket, the brown one, which looks more energetic. Hey, don't tuck in the shirt, and don't pull up the leather jacket, it's old-fashioned. Lu Qing changed his clothes according to Little Ming's guidance. He looked at himself in the mirror and found that he looked pretty good. He had a sense of calmness, but he did not lose the vigor of a college student. As for Zhao Cheng, Qiu Zhigao, and Zhang Jingye, although they all followed the basic principle of cleanliness, Kai Zongming deliberately chose them to distinguish them. He did not want to be mistaken as a dormitory uniform or work uniform. After getting ready, they followed Kai Zongming out of the dormitory excitedly and nervously. They went to the agreed meeting place. Talker, what should I do later? Lu Qing asked in a low voice, taking 2 quick steps and walking side by side with Kai Zongming. Kai Zongming laughed and said, be generous, be generous. Men can't be timid. Besides, your goddess is not familiar with Guoqing's dormitory, let alone us. In this strange environment, she will naturally be close to and rely on her acquaintances. Guoqing's attention is on old Xiao, so here's your chance. Boldly approach her, talk to her, and lead the conversation. Just like how you chat on QQ, she will only be happy and not cold. As for the specific details, I can't guide you, so it's up to you. Just remember the general principle of being generous and generous. Chat on QQ like how I chat on QQ? Damn, I feel like I won't be able to chat without emojis. Lu Qing took a deep breath. Then remember a rule. When you don't know how to answer, make her laugh. Guys can be humorous, but they can't be vulgar, at least not before you two are very intimate. Kai Zongming patted Lu Cheng's shoulder and said, calm down and relax. Anyway, I don't have high hopes for you. It doesn't matter if you fail. Just treat it as gaining experience. Lu Qing glanced at him in disdain. After being mocked by him like this, the tension in his heart faded a lot. They agreed to meet at the east gate of the school. After waiting for about 10 minutes, 5 girls walked over gracefully. Lu Qing noticed Yan Jika at first glance and completely ignored the other girls. Because she was going to row a boat, she didn't wear a skirt. Instead, she wore a pair of slim-fit light-colored jeans, a pair of small white shoes, and a white t-shirt. The pattern on the front of her chest was slightly inlaid with sequins. She wore a light green jacket on the outside. Her hair was down, and she didn't have bangs. She looked delicate and lively with a bit of purity and cleanliness. Those who dare to show their foreheads are real beauties. Kai Zhongming laughed in a low voice. Zhao Cheng, Qiu Zhigao, and Zhang Jingye also saw Yan Jika at first glance. No matter where she went, she was always the center of attention. They slightly opened their mouths and looked at Lu Qing in surprise. Although they knew that Lu Cheng's old classmates would participate in this social gathering, they didn't expect it to be such an old classmate. Beside her, Zhuang Xiaojun, who they thought was very pretty, was completely overshadowed by her. Cheng. Zhao Cheng shouted. Ah. Lu Qing looked at him blankly. Zhao Cheng said bitterly, I understand now. A dog that doesn't bark really bites. You said I betrayed the revolution. You are the real traitor. His words made Kai Zhongming and the others burst into laughter. Lu Qing couldn't help but blush. When the 5 girls came closer, Lu Qing silently said 3 words. Be generous, be bold. While saying these words, he stepped forward and greeted them with a practiced smile. He said to Yan Jika, I thought girls would be a few minutes late. I didn't expect you to be early. Fortunately, we are early. Obviously, Yan Jika didn't feel awkward at all. Instead, she relaxed a bit because of the acquaintance. She pointed at Guo Qing beside her and said with a smile, Qing is always resolute and resolute. She dragged us here. She even washed her hair at noon for this get-together. As soon as this was said, the few girls beside her snickered. A short girl even echoed, yes, a special shampoo is very important. Guo Qing was a bit shy even though she was a straightforward person. She quickly introduced them to Lu Qing, this is Zhuang Xiaojun. That bitch is Pan Shui. This is Yu Fangfang. Lu Qing glanced around casually. Zhuang Xiaojun was wearing glasses. She looked refined and delicate. Her facial features were indeed good-looking. Pan Shui had neat bangs and baby fat. She wasn't tall and was going for the cute route. Yu Fangfang's skin was darker and she wore black-rimmed glasses. After greeting them with a smile, Lu Qing quickly introduced his roommates to Yan Jika. That foppish guy is Kai Zhongming. That guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes is Zhao Cheng, our leader. Don't be fooled by his righteous face. In fact, he is the one who instigated this social gathering. Zhang Jingye, Qiu Zhigao, Old Qiu. They are honest, but they are all in love. The slightly teasing introduction made the girls laugh. Zhao Cheng and the others were both angry and amused. The atmosphere suddenly became lively. Yan Jika covered her mouth and laughed for a while. She lowered her voice and said to Lu Qing, aren't you afraid of their revenge? Don't worry. I am an upright person. They don't have anything to blackmail me. Lu Qing pretended to be righteous. Kai Zhongming secretly gave him a thumbs up and mouthed, Qing, you are good. Zhao Cheng and the others also took the opportunity to make fun of Lu Qing and liven up the atmosphere. But they all had a tacit understanding and there was a limit. They only made fun of each other on a superficial level. No one really mentioned the embarrassing things that would ruin the girls' impression of each other. While talking, Lu Qing noticed that Yan Jika was carrying a small black bag on her back, which made her look charming. In her hand was a white cardboard bag with unknown contents. He took a deep breath and pretended to be normal. He pointed at the white bag and said, "Let me help you carry it. Otherwise, if a girl carries something and a boy is empty-handed, we may be criticized on the internet. People may say that the boys in our country are not gentlemanly." Yenjika glanced at his frank and slightly humorous words. Then she smiled and said, "Okay, Cheng, gentlemanly." "Yes." Lu Cheng shouted in his heart. He reached out and took the white bag. He smiled and joked, "That's not right. Nowadays, gentlemanly means perverted." "I am righteous." The girls were again amused by his self-deprecating words. Kai Zhongming quickly signaled Zhao Chang, Qiu Zhigao, and Zhang Jingye to take the other girls' bags. He himself was responsible for Yu Fangfang's. After chatting for a few minutes, the 3 cars that Lu Cheng and the others had arranged for arrived. All 3 cars were parked outside the east gate. Kai Zhongming had already instructed Lu Cheng on how to distribute the cars. Lu Cheng plucked up his courage and pulled Qiu Zhigao with a smile. "Old Qiu, let's share a car." While speaking, he gave Yenjika a wink. Yenjika immediately understood. She held Guoqing and said, "Qing, let's also take that car." The others immediately joined in. Old Qiu couldn't refuse and had to follow Lu Cheng on the left side of the back row. Lu Cheng thought for a while and sat in the passenger seat. Yenjika pulled Guoqing, who was a little shy, and squeezed her in the middle. She squeezed herself in the right side. The engine sounded and the car started moving. Lu Cheng didn't care about the distribution of the remaining 6 people. He took out his phone and secretly sent a message to Yenjika. "Old Qiu and Guoqing are both strong. You are so pitiful to be squeezed in the back row." Yenjika's phone vibrated. She took it out and glanced at it. Suddenly, a smile appeared on her face. She also joined in the conversation and quietly replied, "Alas, fortunately, I am slim. For Qing's happiness, I have to endure it. You don't know how straightforward and outgoing she is. Today, she doesn't dare to speak. If I don't accompany her, she definitely won't dare to take this car." Lu Cheng and Yenjika tacitly created a topic to guide Qiu Zhigao and Guoqing to talk, while they secretly communicated on QQ. It was as if they were on the same side and shared some secrets, which made Lu Cheng feel that the relationship between them seemed to be closer. Because the journey was not long enough, the group of 10 people arrived at Zhaoshan Lake in just over half an hour. They rented orange life jackets and 5 two-person rowing boats by the lake. The girls left their paper bags and backpacks at the lake. Kai Zhongming took charge of the situation and distributed the boats with a smile. Since it's a friendship party, it must be a combination of men and women. Let's see which boat can row around the island first. Old Qiu, you and Guoqing will be in a group. Well, we are both strong. It's not fair for you to be in a group. Old Qiu made a last-ditch struggle. To be honest, Guoqing's facial features were not bad, but her body was a little thick. You're a rough man, and you've never rowed a boat before. Maybe you'll offset Guoqing's efforts. Besides, I've asked around. Guoqing knows how to swim. You're a landlubber. With her protecting you, we can rest assured. Kai Zhongming's nonsense attracted the agreement of the girls. Old Qiu was confused and agreed. Kai Zhongming continued, "Lu Cheng, you and Yenjika are classmates, so you're more familiar with each other. You're in the same boat. Model worker, you're the big guy from the northwest. Help our petite classmate, Pan Shui. Chang, you lead Zhuang Xiaojun and show your talent as a top student. Yu Fangfang, we're in the same team. We can't lose." Usually, in such a crowded situation, many people didn't have their own opinions and just went with the flow. Or they had their own opinions but were too shy to speak out. Therefore, 1 or 2 active, positive and bold people could take charge of the situation. Today, Kai Zhongming was like that. He forcibly finished the distribution and no one had much objection. Kai Zhongming patted Lu Cheng's shoulder quietly and whispered in his ear, "Cheng, this is all I can do for you. Chapter 18. It was late autumn. The sky was clear and the air was cool. The waves of Zhaoshan Lake were rising and falling. Lu Qing wanted to help Yenjika onto the boat, but she was as agile as a deer. With a light leap, she stood firmly on the boat, barely causing it to sway further. Sure enough, her martial arts level is higher than mine. Not only can't I save the beauty, I don't even have the chance to help her. Lu Qing mocked himself. Considering his strength, he boarded the boat according to the rules and sat opposite Yenjika, each with an oar. I was going to give you a hand. Yenjika snickered and made fun of him. The lake breeze blew her black hair that reached her back. So a beauty saves a hero? Lu Qing pretended to be shocked. Casanova said that when you don't know how to answer, you have to make her laugh. As expected, Yenjika couldn't help but chuckle and ask, Qing, do you know how to row a boat? No. Lu Qing answered honestly. Before high school, he didn't have the time. During the summer vacation after graduation, he spent more than 2 months binge-watching highlights of martial arts competitions and all kinds of news. He kept meeting with his childhood friends and gradually immersed himself in the online world. How could he have the time and interest to go boating? Yenjika pursed her lips and blinked her black eyes. She said seriously, what a coincidence. I don't know how to, Lu Qing laughed. Aren't you a Jiangnan girl? Kai Zhongming, Yu Fangfang, Zhao Cheng, and Zhuang Xiaojun had already rowed slowly. Qiu Zhigao, Guoqing, Zhang Jingye, and Pan Shui were circling around. But I grew up in Shushan. Besides, there are many Jiangnan girls who don't know how to swim or row. My 2 cousins don't know how to do it. Yenjika said with anger and amusement. Lu Qing knew when to stop and didn't ask about Yenjika's family situation. He smiled and said, it seems that nothing can be generalized. Well, since it's such a coincidence that you don't know how to row, it'll be interesting to learn how to row together. Yenjika nodded slightly. She held the oars with both hands and pointed to Zhao Cheng and Zhuang Xiaojun with her chin. Look at them. They row well. Let's learn. Okay. Lu Qing looked over and followed Zhao Cheng's movements, moving the oars. The oars entered the water, creating green waves and ripples. However, the hull of the boat did not move forward. Instead, it swayed in place. Yenjika joined in the paddling. She was like a young girl picking up a chestnut. The sky and the water were like a beautiful painting. However, their boat still didn't move forward. It was spinning in circles. They looked at each other helplessly and found it funny. Lu Qing was determined to show that he had long thought about rowing the boat. At this moment, he was not in a hurry. He sank his mind into his dantian, visualized the Jin Dan, and entered meditation. Immediately, the surroundings became peaceful. The vast nebula rotated slowly, and the details of every part of his body appeared bit by bit. He could feel the ups and downs of the boat and the surrounding waves through their contact with each other. As the boat swayed, the oars dropped, stirring up ripples on the water. Lu Qing saw how the power circulated in his mind. He used this to slightly change his direction and posture to match the boat's movement. At the same time, he found that Yenjika, who was on the opposite side, suddenly became proficient. Every stroke of the oar complemented the boat, the waves, and his side. Opening his eyes, Lu Qing met Yenjika's eyes. You've reached the initial level of yin yang stance? You've mastered yin yang stance? Both of them opened their mouths at the same time. Each of them was surprised. Then they looked at each other and smiled. As a boy, Lu Qing took the initiative to answer before Yenjika asked again. Actually, I'm very talented in meditation. I was able to conceal spirit and chi on my first try of yin-yang stance. Otherwise, how could I survive the 3 weeks of special training? Yenjika's expression changed. Her bright black eyes showed obvious surprise. You entered meditation on your first try? Yes. Lu Qing nodded sincerely. Unconsciously, Yenjika pouted her lips and exhaled. I thought it was amazing that I could enter meditation on my first try in 10 days. Special case, special case. I'm not as good as you in other aspects. And it's really amazing that you could enter meditation on your first try in 10 days. Many famous masters only entered meditation on their first try in half a month. Lu Qing hurriedly comforted her. The two of them talked about various things that happened during the martial arts training. However, they neglected to ask about each other's progress. You don't have to comfort me. Do I look like such a stingy person? Yenjika laughed and dispelled her little depression. She nodded heavily and said, "From now on, you're my idol. It's rare to enter meditation in one day in the history of martial arts. Don't. I can't accept it." Lu Cheng was secretly proud. He modestly changed the topic. "What's your level now? I seem to remember that you didn't have a level when you signed up for the special training." It wasn't seemed, it was definitely. The two of them rowed tacitly. The boat slowly set sail. Yenjika thought for a while and said, "I learned martial arts from my uncle when I was a child. I should have reached the level of amateur 9th pin when I graduated from junior high school. But I didn't attend the ranking event. So I didn't have much time to practice in high school." According to Qing, should be between amateur 7th and 8th pin when she first practiced with me. But after I got started with yin yang stance, I think I've improved a lot. Qing said yesterday that I've reached amateur 6th pin. At the end of the sentence, her tone was slightly raised, showing a little pride and a little playfulness. "Awesome. You've improved by at least 1 pin in 3 weeks. I'll make you my idol." Lu Qing deliberately picked up Yenjika's words. According to Yenjika's experience, it was normal for her to reach amateur 4th or 5th pin when she entered the school if it weren't for the emphasis on learning in high school. The reason why she could improve by 1 pin in 3 weeks was that she had guided the accumulation and potential that she had but hadn't shown yet. It was totally different from Lu Cheng, who had started out as a rookie in 3 weeks. Listening to Lu Cheng's half-joking and half-sincere praise, Yenjika's cheeks reddened and her smile widened. But then she suddenly thought of something and sighed. Her expression was a little melancholy and gloomy. "What's wrong?" Lu Cheng asked with concern. Yenjika didn't stop rowing. After a dozen seconds of silence, she said in a low voice, "According to the ancient saying, I'm congenitally deficient. If I hadn't practiced martial arts since I was a child, I'd probably be an invalid now. But my body is always damaged and can't be made up. I'll never be able to reach the level of Danshi and have a real glimpse of martial arts. So every time I see a young genius, I'm very envious and worship. It seems that I've put my expectation of martial arts on them." Listening to Yenjika's words, Lu Qing felt helpless and sad. His heart was suddenly filled with tenderness and pity. He wanted to say loudly, "Let me carry your dream of martial arts on my back." But some things were better done than said. Bragging now would only make her think that he was joking about this kind of thing. It was too frivolous. It wasn't until now that he understood why Yenjika worshipped Lin Kei like other girls, and why she said, "Everyone has their own future. It doesn't have to be martial arts." She was not only talking about him, but also herself. Senior brother Li Mao, who practiced with me, said that I've reached the level of amateur 9th pin. He looked into Yenjika's eyes and said calmly and firmly. Yenjika was stunned. "You've reached the level of amateur 9th pin?" She knew clearly that 3 weeks ago, Lu Cheng was just an ordinary person with no martial arts foundation. But after only 3 weeks, he could become proficient in punching and kicking. Coupled with his talent of meditation, what level could he reach in 3 months, a year, or a half? Senior brother Li Mao said so. Lu Cheng said concisely. Yenjika stared at him, her eyes as dark as a deep pool. After a while, she said in a low voice, "You have to do your best." "Okay." Lu Cheng nodded heavily. While talking, they didn't stop their movements. They cooperated well and soon caught up with Qiu Zhigao and Guoqing. When they were about to pass by each other, Guoqing suddenly raised the oar and splashed water at Lu Cheng and Yan Zhika, forcing them to try to dodge and slow down the boat. Qiu Zhigao, you row the boat. I'll stop them. Guoqing said arrogantly. Yan Zhika was annoyed and amused. She looked at Lu Cheng and asked, do you want to fight back? Looking at the eagerness in her eyes and actions, Lu Cheng said without hesitation, yes. You row the boat well. Yan Zhika bit her lip with a smile in her eyes. She also used the oar to raise waves. Lu Cheng put on his jacket and focused on observing the changes of the boat and the waves. He rowed at the right time to offset the shaking caused by Yan Zhika's movements and kept the boat moving forward. As for Old Xiao and Guoqing, as long as Guoqing made a big movement, the boat would inevitably shake, so she had to be careful. Both of them had learned the basics of yin-yang stance, so they had a good grasp of coordination. With a good cooperation, they had an obvious advantage. Soon, they overtook Guoqing and Old Xiao and caught up with the others, causing screams and splashes. They had a lot of fun, with continuous laughter and curses. When they overtook everyone, they were the first to return to the starting point after circling the lake. Lu Cheng and Yan Zhika looked at each other again and smiled. Again, I, Doraemon, am not satisfied. Kai Zhongming and Yu Fangfang were the second to arrive and said exaggeratedly in online language. Round after round, the girls had a lot of fun, but they were also tired. Seeing that the sun was setting, they suggested to go back early so that they wouldn't have to wait in line for the big meal in the evening. As for the cost, led by Lu Cheng and Kai Zhongming, the boys had already collected enough money. The boat stopped at the shore. Lu Cheng, the long-distance runner, without any fatigue, got off the boat easily and reached out his hand to Yan Zhika. At this time, she was exhausted. She shouldn't have the strength to jump off directly, right? Lu Cheng's heart beat faster, but Yan Zhika didn't feel bashful. She frankly grabbed his hand and got off the boat. At this moment, even though she had the advantage, she was splashed with a lot of water. Her hair was wet, with a few strands sticking to her cheeks, revealing an amazing beauty. It reminded people of the phrase, a hibiscus comes out of clear water. What's wrong? Yan Zhika brushed the messy hair on her cheeks. Lu Cheng thought for a while and smiled politely. Every time I see a girl in a TV series with her hair still wet after washing, I think it's very beautiful. Yan Zhika's eyes were watery. She glanced at him. I'm going to change first. Lu Cheng suddenly understood. That bag you're carrying is clothes? Yes, it's easy to get wet while rowing. How can I not bring a set of clothes to change? Yan Zhika smiled. A rough man like you probably can't think of this. I have a leather coat, so I'm not afraid of getting wet. Lu Cheng wiped the water droplets on the short leather coat. Smart, right? Yan Zhika rolled her eyes at him and walked quickly to the storage area. Seeing her back disappear at the door of the female locker room, Lu Cheng was overflowing with joy. He couldn't help but walk back and forth, unable to stop. After all the things that happened today, the politeness between him and Yan Zhika had completely disappeared. Her horizontal and white lines were the proof. Although there was still a long way to go before they could hold hands, at least their relationship had improved. After returning to the school through an online taxi, the group of 10 people went to the famous Old Lee restaurant in the nearby town. The most famous dish here was the white kidney beans stewed with pig's feet soup. The soup was milky white and fragrant. The soft white kidney beans were full of all kinds of essences. It was the most delicious and made the girls hungry. After dinner, Lu Cheng and the others strolled back to Songqing University. Along the way, they talked about the embarrassing and stupid things they had done in the afternoon, which made them burst into laughter from time to time. When they arrived at the second building of the female dormitory, there was no awkward silence. Yan Zhika lived in the third building not far away. Lu Cheng sent her off and said goodbye to her in front of the gate. See you tomorrow for the special training. Lu Cheng smiled and waved. Yan Zhika smiled faintly and waved her hand. See you tomorrow. Seeing her enter the dormitory, Lu Qing knew that she would be busy taking a shower. Instead of chasing after Kai Zhongming and the others, Lu Qing strolled to the lake. I'm so happy today. If I don't exercise to vent, how can I sleep? In the woods by the lake, Wu Dong, a senior member of the martial arts club, was drinking and smoking with two friends he had met in the society. The new campus of Songqing University was only free to enter and leave on weekends, except for express delivery. Don't mention it recently. It's so damn depressing. Since Lin K came in, I can't stay in the martial arts club anymore. They don't even look at me. Wu Dong drank a mouthful of beer with a gloomy expression. A young man with a tattoo on his neck said, "You and Brother Chen can't beat him?" "I don't dare. We're about to graduate. How can we find a job if we get punished?" Wu Dong flattered himself. Suddenly, his eyes froze and he snorted. "What's wrong?" Another young man with a buzz cut followed Wu Dong's gaze and saw Lu Qing jogging towards them with a smile on his face. "A bastard from the martial arts club," Wu Dong said grumpily. The tattooed young man smiled. "Hey, what a coincidence. How about we teach him a lesson?" "That's not a good idea. You can run away, but what about me?" Wu Dong wanted to vent but didn't dare to. "Don't worry. We know what we're doing. Just teach him a lesson." The buzz-cut young man had nowhere to vent his energy. He was eager to try. Students fight and don't get hurt. Who will tell the teacher for no reason? How about we go and you don't show up? P.S. It's Monday again. There's a chapter at midnight. Please recommend it. Chapter 19. Wu Dong had been holding a grudge for a long time. Encouraged by the buzz-cut young man, he nodded slowly after a few seconds of silence. "Okay, I'll keep an eye out for you." "Okay." The buzz-cut young man stood up and stretched his body. The tattooed young man put down the beer bottle and asked cautiously, "How's that guy? What amateur pin is he?" Wu Dong laughed. "Don't worry. He's just a rookie. He's not even an amateur 9th pin yet. You can beat him easily." The young man with the brush cut and the tattooed young man dropped out of school early and began to mingle in the underworld. They often got into fights, so they had some martial arts experience. In order to rise up, they deliberately befriended Chen Zhonghua and Wu Dong to learn proper martial arts. Over the past 2 years, although they ate, drank, gambled, and smoked a lot, they practiced diligently and often had practical practice. Both of them had reached the level of amateur 7th pin, so Wu Dong trusted them to teach Lu Qing a lesson. "Isn't it easy? I promise you'll be satisfied, Brother Dong." The buzz-cut young man laughed. The tattooed young man thought for a while and said, "Wait a minute. Which one of you can speak Northeastern Chinese? Teach me a few words." "What?" Wu Dong and the buzz-cut young man were both confused. The tattooed young man explained, "Songqing University is the best university in Songqing. It's famous all over the country. If we mess around here, it's easy to get into trouble. We know what we're doing, but we can't guarantee that accidents will happen, right? Maybe some professor or teacher will bump into us, right? It's dark now, so we can't see the faces clearly. I'll speak Northeastern Chinese later. If something really happens, they won't find us, right?" "Yes, yes, yes." Wu Dong was most afraid that they would be found out and get him into trouble. The buzz-cut young man was puzzled. Which professor or teacher would come here in the dark? Isn't it nice to have a date with a female student in the dark? The tattooed young man answered with a lewd smile. Along the lakeside path, Lu Qing jogged to the place where he usually practiced his stance. Half of Weishui Lake was illuminated by the lights of the dormitory and teaching areas. It was as if a silver sea was hanging upside down. Every drop of light was dazzling. The other half was dark and quiet, with the occasional street light projection. At the edge of the lake was a place where a stone could arouse many pairs of wild mandarin ducks. Observing the surroundings was a martial artist's habit. After a period of hard practice, he had turned it into an instinct. While running, he saw two figures coming out of the woods by the lake, so he subconsciously looked at them. The tattooed young man immediately shouted, "What are you looking at?" "Nothing, I'm sorry." Lu Cheng was stunned. He didn't expect that this could lead to a quarrel. He didn't want to cause more trouble, so he replied in a modest tone. Although practicing martial arts gave him courage and he had thought about the scene of a hero rescuing a beauty, when it really happened, his usual character and habits took over. Moreover, Geezer had said that modern society was a legal society. Being brave and fierce was not a good thing. As a martial artist, he was not afraid of trouble, but he should try not to cause trouble. Motherf *Ker, how dare you talk nonsense. The tattooed young man only learned a few words in a hurry and didn't dare to say more. He signaled the buzzcut young man to block Lu Cheng's way and moved himself to cut off his escape route. Lu Cheng was not a fool. The other's aggressive behavior was soon reflected in his mind. He made a judgment in his heart. They are here to cause trouble. And judging from their footwork, they were obviously at the level of amateur ninth pin or above. Ordinary people practice martial arts and don't pay attention to footwork. If they can keep their footwork in a fight, they must be martial artists. The two of them were not far from each other, the kind of distance where they could start a fight immediately after cursing. Seeing that the young man's palm was about to hit his face in the next second, Lu Cheng suddenly dodged to the side, quickened his pace, and ran into the woods with a whoosh. Ran into the woods, ran away, ran away. The buzzcut young man and the tattooed young man looked at each other, stunned for a moment. Did he just King run away? According to their experience, when encountering a verbal conflict, everyone would first try to explain or argue. Even if there was a possibility of a fight, the coward's reaction would be to beg for mercy, while the hot-blooded and brave guy would try to fight until it was obvious that he couldn't win. Who would have thought that the guy just now would run faster than a rabbit without even saying a few words? *CK. Run? Let's see where you can run to. The two came to their senses, spat, and ran quickly to catch up with Lu Cheng. The muscles on their faces were twisted and hideous, a little embarrassed. Lu Cheng didn't dare to stop because of the hurried footsteps behind him. He passed through the sparse woods by the lake. Relying on his familiarity with the terrain, he soon arrived at the road outside the woods, which was the place where he usually practiced his endurance. This road led to the teaching area on one side and extended to the small hill of the school on the other side. The hill was not very high, only about 10 meters high. It was more appropriate to call it hill, because the biggest library in Songqing was built there. The road circled around the hill and went straight to the vast western area that was still under construction. Lu Cheng turned and ran to the hill. The buzzcut young man and the tattooed young man ran through the woods. Seeing Lu Cheng running to the hill, they were both delighted. This guy is running away in a panic. If he had run to the teaching area, they wouldn't have dared to make trouble for him. But now, they would give him a good massage later. When the two ran through the woods, Wu Dong, who was waiting for a good show, couldn't sit still. He was afraid that they would lose their temper and make a big mess, which would involve him. He hurriedly followed behind and tried to catch up with them. The buzzcut young man and the tattooed young man, who lived a life of eating, drinking, whoring, gambling, and smoking, soon began to pant. The distance between them and Lu Cheng widened little by little. They gradually felt like giving up in their hearts. *CK. Thinking of the time when I ran 5 streets in one breath. At this moment, they found that Lu Cheng in front of them had also slowed down. They looked at each other and smiled, with excitement and cruelty in their eyes. We can't run anymore, and this guy can't run anymore. Hold on a little longer. When we catch up, we'll teach him a lesson. Mustering their remaining courage, they circled around the hill and arrived at the West District, which was still a wasteland. As they chased, the distance between them gradually closed. However, after running for a while, the young man with the buzz cut could no longer hold on. He stopped and panted heavily. "You're right. F***ck, huff, F***ck, this guy, F***ck, F***ck, he's too good at running." The tattooed young man ran 2 more steps and couldn't take it anymore. He bent down and put his hands on his knees, watching Lu Cheng's figure getting farther and farther away. I can't. He spoke like a bellows, his chest heaving violently. Wudong also caught up at this time. He was gasping for breath, and cold sweat was dripping down his forehead. Seeing that the two had stopped moving forward, he heaved a sigh of relief. He stopped not far away, and repeatedly retched. It seemed that he was almost out of breath. Forget it, there's no need to waste time. Smoking hurt the lungs, which controlled the breath. After running for such a long distance, Wudong felt a little dizzy. As soon as he finished speaking, his eyes suddenly froze. In the darkness ahead, he saw a figure running back through the desolation. It was Lu Cheng. "You." The tattooed young man and the buzzcut young man gasped in astonishment. How dare this guy run back? They looked at Lu Cheng and saw that his face was as usual and his breathing was steady. There was no sign that he had run for such a long distance. What the F***ck, what kind of monster is this? The buzzcut young man and the tattooed young man suddenly felt a sense of horror. Looking at the 3 of them who were gasping for breath and distancing themselves from each other, Lu Cheng smiled without saying a word. Suddenly, he took a step forward and threw a punch. The power under his feet was transmitted to his waist and back, leading to his fist. He gathered all the power in his body and hit the buzzcut youth in the middle of his chest with a mighty force. The buzzcut young man was about to dodge and counterattack, but his hands and feet were so sore that he almost couldn't catch his breath. He was too slow and was directly hit by Lu Cheng's punch. Bam! In the muffled sound, the buzzcut young man was hit in the middle of his chest. The pain in his bones made him almost stop breathing and he took 2 steps back. Lu Cheng's footwork was not messed up. He followed closely and pressed on his 2 shoulders. Then he tripped him and threw him toward the tattooed young man who was besieging him. The tattooed young man who was also weak in arms and legs staggered. Of course, Lu Cheng wouldn't let go of this opportunity. He took a step forward, twisted his waist and kicked the tattooed young man's left shin. Ah! The tattooed young man screamed. Although his bones weren't broken, he was in so much pain that he hugged his leg and rolled on the ground. Like the buzzcut young man who was almost out of breath, he lost his ability to fight for a short time. After getting rid of them, Lu Cheng looked at Wudong who was struggling to come closer and said with a smile, "So it's senior brother Wu who wants to teach me a lesson. Then I have no choice but to ask for your advice." Wudong looked gloomy and panted. I'm tired, but you're not tired? We're the same. I'm an amateur second pin master. Who do you think you are? Sorry, I'm not tired. Lu Cheng calmly got into a fighting posture with an eager look in his eyes. Although Wudong was an amateur second pin master, his master had told him that his body had been hollowed out by smoking and drinking. Now he was tired, weak in arms and legs, and had difficulty breathing. If he didn't dare to challenge and fight in this condition, what was the point of learning martial arts and practicing boxing? P.S. Please recommend me to the homepage. Chapter 20. Without saying anything, Lu Cheng lowered his center of gravity and stepped forward, pouncing on Wudong from both sides. Lu Cheng had only been practicing martial arts for 3 weeks, so he had only mastered the basic movements and simple moves to the point where he could use them in actual combat. He hadn't had time to learn the more complicated moves. But humans were different from animals because they were good at observing and imitating. In the face of Wudong, who was much stronger than him, he instinctively wanted to do better. In his mind, the footwork of Chen Zhonghua during the fight with Lin Ke suddenly appeared. Chen Zhonghua moved forward, crisscrossed, and attacked like a terrifying poisonous snake. Compared to Qin Zhanghua, Lu Qing was obviously not as proficient and detailed in this footwork. But he had been practicing the yin-yang stance for a long time, so his body coordination was quite good and his spirit was highly concentrated. Under the condition of half meditation, he could easily and subtly adjust his center of gravity. When he stepped to the left, his center of gravity was slightly to the right. When he stepped to the right, his center of gravity was slightly to the left. It was hard for Lu Qing to distinguish his real target. Even Wu Dong, who had been practicing martial arts for many years, felt that this was a thorny problem. In the past, when he was sparring with Qin Zhanghua, he was still able to see some clues when facing this snake steps and make a prediction. But now, when this kid, whose footwork was obviously not practiced enough, pounced on him, he was unable to give a definite answer. Just when he thought that his real target was indeed to the right, the next thought swayed to the left. Is he really a rookie who has only been practicing martial arts for 3 weeks? Is he a guy who pretends to be weak? Hesitation was the most taboo in a fight. Wu Dong was experienced in actual combat and had participated in several amateur ranking events, so he naturally understood this principle and always followed it. But at this moment, there was not much he could do. Under normal circumstances, if he couldn't judge whether the snake steps was real or not, he could still use his footwork and move around, which was his strength. But after chasing for such a long distance, his legs were sore and his breathing was not smooth, so he couldn't use his strength. If he continued to move around, it would be suicide. Alas, I can only stay on the defensive. Wu Dong took a stance and didn't react hastily. In the face of this, Lu Qing was a little happy in his heart because this was the situation he had envisioned when he first planned. He didn't expect it to actually come true. At first, he didn't notice that Wu Dong was chasing after him. He just wanted to use his strongest long-distance running ability to wear down the 2 hooligans who were deliberately causing trouble, and take advantage of their weak state to strike back. When he noticed Wu Dong, he deliberately slowed down to lure them to run more, so that he could squeeze their strength as much as possible. But his master had said that Wu Dong's body was exhausted by smoking, drinking, and playing, so the function of his lungs must be severely reduced. When his strength reached the limit, it would be difficult for him to take a breath in a short time. Under such circumstances, Wu Dong, who was known for his agility, dexterity, guerrilla warfare, and sneak attacks, would not be able to display his strengths at all. He would be forced to defend his position, just like what was happening right now. Shifting his center of gravity and taking a step forward, Lu Qing suddenly flashed to Wu Dong's right side. Exerting strength from his feet, he channeled all his strength through his spine to his right hand. Then, as if he was holding an iron hammer, he clenched his fist and smashed down viciously at Wu Dong. Whoosh! The punch was so fierce that Wu Dong couldn't tell whether the snake steps was real or not, so his reaction was a bit late. But he firmly defended his position and fought inside with both hands, so the distance he covered was significantly shorter than Lu Qing. He was able to block Lu Qing's right fist in time. When the two collided, Lu Qing didn't feel that Wu Dong had the upper hand in strength. He suddenly realized that Wu Dong was indeed still gasping for breath and couldn't exert all his strength. Even though he was a master of amateur second pin, he was still at a disadvantage. Lu Qing took a step forward with his right foot and blocked in front of Wu Dong's legs to prevent him from exerting his footwork. His left hand used the force of his right fist to block Wu Dong's right hand, and punched directly at Wu Dong's abdomen with abrupt force. Wu Dong couldn't dodge, so he had to take the blow head-on. With a bang, their bodies met. Lu Qing exerted strength in his feet, slightly leaned to one side, and lowered his elbow to hit Wu Dong again. He had to take advantage of Wu Dong's current condition and force him to fight in close quarters, which was his weakness and his current fatal problem. If he couldn't catch his breath, the result would be clear. If he fought on the move, he would give Wu Dong a chance to catch his breath. Bang, bang, bang. They exchanged several blows. Wu Dong had been practicing martial arts for many years and was very experienced, so he didn't show any flaws. Lu Qing blocked Wu Dong's attack again with both hands, but he was keenly aware that Wu Dong's body was swaying slightly. This was like a rock that had finally loosened under a violent storm. Wudong couldn't catch up with his strength. Lu Qing lowered his waist and adjusted his body's fine details. He quickly adjusted his center of gravity and threw out another punch. Bang! Wudong's stance was broken by the punch and he staggered back. But he was smart enough to not give Lu Qing a chance to pounce on him again. He rolled to the side to avoid the punch. Seeing Wudong rolling on the ground, Lu Qing felt a little happy. He had forced Wudong, an amateur second pin, to this point. Victory was at hand. He closed the distance with a sliding step, and was about to give Wudong a whip kick like Lin Ke did. At this moment, Wudong narrowed his eyes and grabbed a handful of dirt behind him with his left hand. He threw it at Lu Qing. Lu Qing didn't expect this at all. Seeing the dirt flying at him, he closed his eyes subconsciously, put his left hand in front of his face, and tried to move sideways. But he was in a hurry. Some dirt got into his eyes, making them sore and painful. He couldn't open them for a while. His mind was in a mess, and he was at his wit's end. Bang! Lu Qing felt a pain in his back as he was punched. He lost his balance and fell forward. The familiar situation and experience made him calm down instinctively. He adjusted his body and tried to change his center of gravity. When one calmed down, one's mind would be clear. Lu Qing recovered from the fall and realized that he was at a disadvantage because of his lack of combat experience. Now he had to stay calm and not let Wudong take advantage of the situation to attack him. The Jindan rotated slowly, the nebula contracted and expanded, and the muscles in his body adjusted harmoniously. Lu Qing staggered a few steps and regained his balance. At the same time, he changed his direction with every step, narrowly avoiding the attack behind him. Lu Qing found that he still couldn't open his eyes. He couldn't stop his tears, as if he had been beaten. He was surrounded by darkness and didn't know where Wudong would come from. What was more frightening was that he didn't dare to make a big scene. He didn't attack the vital parts of the short-haired young man and the tattooed young man. It wouldn't take long for them to recover their basic combat strength. Calm down. Calm down. Lu Qing made a decision. He visualized the form of condensing water to ice in his mind. He felt that all kinds of distracting thoughts were frozen and his senses became very sharp. Condensing water stance of the ice sect. Everything seemed to be quiet. Contrary to the yin-yang stance, the condensing water stance focused on the outside. He could hear the sound of wind and footsteps, and the air was filled with a faint smell of alcohol. Lu Qing vaguely sensed that someone was coming from his left through his ears, body, and other senses. He remained calm and raised his hand slightly, as if he was making a defensive move and waiting for his eyes to recover. Lu Qing suddenly changed his visualization when the heavy breathing entered his ears. He visualized a scene in his mind where a silver-white lightning struck a tree and ignited a flame in an instant. Lightning and fire stance of the thunder sect. As soon as the lightning and fire appeared, Lu Qing's muscles wriggled naturally. He felt his tailbone go numb and his body sink as if he was struck by lightning. Then a hot current surged out from his spine and closed all the pores all over his body. It was like a prairie fire that completed a terrible outbreak in an instant. It burned through his waist and back to his left leg. His left leg looked normal, but it suddenly tightened and kicked sideways without warning. Bang! Lu Qing felt that he had kicked something solid and vaguely felt bone under his foot. Then he heard a cry of pain and the sound of someone falling to the ground. It's done. He kept calm and didn't put down his defensive posture. He just rubbed his eyes and with the help of his tears, the dust finally flowed out and restored his vision. From blurred to clear, Lu Qing saw Wudong rolling in pain on his left side as if he had kicked him in the thigh. The brush-cut young man and the tattooed young man had just recovered but were still unable to stand up. Phew. A real battle is really different from a pair practice. Lu Qing secretly heaved a sigh of relief and felt a pain in his back. If it weren't for his yin-yang stance that had reached the realm of inward vision with the help of the Jindan, the condensation stance that had improved his senses and attention, and the lightning and fire stance that had a terrible outbreak in an instant, he would have been beaten by the experienced Wudong. The yin-yang stance, the lightning and fire stance, and the condensation stance seemed to be easy to master. However, as the basic stances of the Thunder sect and the Ice sect, they had their own difficulties. That was, how to meditate, how to visualize, and what to visualize. Without any explanation or guidance, even if one was given a complete introduction, only 1 out of 1,000 people would be able to successfully master the stances according to the description. Among them, the yin-yang stance was the foundation. It didn't limit what to visualize, but taught how to enter meditation, how to visualize, how to hold the spirit, and how to guard one. Even so, after Geysersher had taught him on the first day, he had spent 3 weeks guiding and correcting his mistakes. However, until now, it seemed that only he and Yan Zhika had mastered the yin-yang stance. Even Guoqin, Li Mao, and Sun Jian couldn't do it. As for Lin Ke, it seemed that he had practiced it before. After today's thrilling and fierce battle, his stance and fighting style had finally crossed the threshold and started to integrate into one. However, he still couldn't judge the specific level of his strength. After relaxing, Lu Qing suddenly felt scared. Just now, he had been reckless and wanted to try a real battle. When his qi and blood had calmed down, he was worried about how to clean up the mess. Fighting was punishable by punishment. If he didn't know how to control his strength, he would have no choice but to cry behind bars. Fortunately, Zhang Xian had controlled his strength and didn't aim for Wudong's vitals. Only when he kicked Wudong was he unable to control it because he couldn't see. However, seeing Wudong stop rolling and rubbing his leg, Zhang Xian didn't think it was a big deal. It's true that heroes break the rules with their martial arts. Lu Qing suppressed his worries and kept calm. He thought for a while and smiled at Wudong. "Senior brother Wu, you're about to graduate from your senior year, right?" Wudong covered his leg and looked up at Lu Qing in surprise. He felt that the freshman in front of him was very calm and had pointed out his weakness with one sentence. He didn't see any trace of worry at all. Then he thought of Lu Qing's sneaky kick and his calmness when he couldn't open his eyes. He suddenly felt like he didn't know him at all. Under his gaze, he couldn't help but look away. Chapter 21. Was this still the same inexperienced freshman? Was this the same guy who was so flustered during the sparring session 3 weeks ago? For the first time, Wudong doubted his own brain. Students who could enter Songqing University before the special recruitment of martial arts were all intelligent. However, the contradiction between what he knew and what he saw now made him feel like his cognitive world had been turned upside down. Could it be that he was dreaming? Seeing that Wudong was shocked by his words, Lu Qing exhaled quietly and pretended to be profound. The on-campus recruitment will begin in October. Senior brother Wu, you're still in the mood to deal with 2 hooligans. But I still have to thank you for your guidance just now. It helped me improve my martial arts. The on-campus recruitment was a job fair on campus. It was usually held in the first half of the senior year. When it came to the next semester, the number of job fairs would decrease sharply. Most of the time, one would have to rely on the internet to find a job. Lu Cheng's hidden meaning was that this matter would be treated as a martial arts competition. Neither of them would spread the news, and Wudong would have to focus on finding a job in the on-campus recruitment. Otherwise, if things got out of hand, Wudong would have to bear more responsibility if he fought back with 2 hooligans on campus. Wudong might even be praised by the school for fighting back after being bullied by the hooligans. At most, he would be punished. Wudong's face was gloomy. After a long time, he said, "Junior brother Lu, the new generation is replacing the old. I'm just giving you some guidance. Don't worry too much." As a martial artist, he often came into contact with similar things. His tone was inevitably similar to that of the ancient times. "I still have to thank you, senior brother Wu." Seeing that Wudong gave in, Lu Qing smiled and cupped his hands. He glanced at the tattooed young man and the buzzcut young man and started to run again. As for the two gangsters, Lu Qing didn't think it was a big deal. Lu Qing didn't think it was a big problem at all. Songsheng was the best university in the country. If gangsters dared to bring people to break into the school and bully students, they must be tired of living. If they wanted to block him outside the school, unless they didn't want to make a living, they would keep an eye on the school every day. Who would take a fight as revenge for the murder of their father? Once the hot blood was over, there would only be trouble when they met by chance. Seeing that Lu Cheng's footsteps were light as he started running again, sweeping past them like a gust of wind, the short-haired youth and the tattooed youth looked at each other, dumbfounded. F***ck, he can still F***king run. The young man with the brush cut looked as if he had seen a flying saucer. This is a monster. The tattooed young man rubbed his eyes. Once again, a sense of fear rose in their hearts. It was the fear of an inhuman. Back in the dormitory, Lu Qing didn't want to line up in the bathroom, so he took a cold shower in the bathroom. Their dormitory's toilets had water pipes, shower heads, and washing machines, all of which were provided by Qin Mo, the rich second generation. However, he had only used them once and was rarely seen. As for the problem of the counselor's inspection, Lu Qing had only seen the counselor 4 times in class meetings since school started 2 months ago. He had never encountered one in the dormitory. Anyway, the new campus was a closed management system, so there wouldn't be any major problems. He could just leave it to the class committee. After changing his clothes and drying his hair, Lu Qing walked out of the bathroom and bumped into Kai Zongming, who was watching a martial arts live broadcast in the living room. Hey, Cheng, where did you go just now? Why are you only back now? Don't tell me you got it. Did you go to the woods? Kai Zongming winked at him with a gossipy expression. Lu Qing thought for a while and asked back, what do you think? I think the revolution hasn't succeeded yet. Comrades still need to work hard. Your goddess isn't easy to woo. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had a chance. But as long as you work hard, even an iron rod can be ground into a needle. If you keep up your performance today, there's still hope. In reality, it's like a flower stuck in cow dung. A blind cat will meet a dead mouse. Kai Zongming encouraged and teased him. Lu Qing glared at him and walked to the simple sofa to sit down. When he was about to lean on the sofa, he felt a sharp pain in his back, which made him gasp. Wu Dong's attack was really not bad. Little Ming, help me rub the bruise. Lu Qing said as he got up and walked to his dormitory. He had to ask for help for the bruise on his back. Ah. Kai Zongming was confused. You didn't force yourself on her and get beaten up by your goddess, did you? What the hell are you thinking about? Lu Qing said grumpily. In the dormitory, Zhao Cheng and Zhuang Xiaojun were on the same boat today. They had a good chat and were trying to calm down while doing homework. Zhang Jingye got Pan Shui's QQ and chatted with her while watching a movie. He also asked about the interesting things in their dormitory. Qiu Zhigao stood by the window and looked at the street lights outside, deep in thought. Lu Qing held back his laughter and took the bottle of ointment from Yan Zhika. He returned to the living room and handed it to Kai Zongming. He sat down and took off his t-shirt, revealing the bruise on his back. What the hell? What did you do? Kai Zongming was confused and surprised. Didn't I send Yan Zhika back to her dormitory? Thinking about the progress today, I was so excited and happy that I couldn't calm down at all. So I went to the lakeside to practice my stance. Lu Qing didn't hide anything and told his friend what had happened just now. Kai Zongming unscrewed the bottle cap and laughed. You and Chang are brothers, right? One needs to do homework to calm down, and the other needs to practice his stance by the lakeside. Not only are the feelings of young girls poetic, but so are the feelings of young men. Erotic poems. Lu Qing ignored his teasing and said, then I met 3 hooligans and had a fight. No wonder. Kai Zongming poured the ointment on his hand and applied it to the bruise on Lu Cheng's back. You're so brave after learning martial arts. You didn't suffer any losses, right? A trace of coolness entered the wound and relieved the pain. Lu Qing narrowed his eyes comfortably and said, "No, I beat all 3 of them down." "Wow, you're awesome, my brother. You've only been learning martial arts for 3 weeks. Did Geezer sure secretly teach you some unique moves?" Kai Zongming put the glass bottle on the sofa and rubbed the ointment hard, making Lu Qing grimace. "Do you know which school and which department those hooligans are from? We can't let them go so easily." "Wudong from the martial arts club." Lu Qing coughed lightly and said casually. "Wudong from the martial arts club. Then let's call old Xiao and go find them." "Wudong from the martial arts club. Wudong from the senior year." Kai Zongming raised his voice and lost control of his strength. Lu Qing almost jumped up from the pain. "Damn, I shouldn't have pretended to be tough at this time." Lu Qing regretted deeply. "Yes, that Wudong who recruited us into the club." Kai Zongming stopped and said, "Qing, I don't study much. Don't lie to me. If you can beat Wudong, I'll beat Lin Kai." Lu Qing hid his pride and said, "It's true. Wudong is addicted to smoking and drinking. He's half disabled. When I saw the 3 of them, I turned around and ran. But when I ran, I found that they couldn't straighten their backs and started to pant, so I went back. But Wudong is really good. He almost beat me down in this situation." Kai Zongming suddenly understood and continued rubbing the ointment on Lu Cheng's bruise. "I knew it. You can't beat Wudong in a normal fight. But to be able to beat him and the other 2 hooligans in this situation, you must be at least of amateur 9th pin, right?" "Senior brotherly mouse said I'm almost there," Lu Qing answered, frankly. 3 weeks of amateur 9th pin. Kai Zongming was silent for a while and then pretended to exaggerate. "Coach, I want to join the special training too." Lu Qing smiled and said, "You'd better continue to be a talker, a career with a bright future." Kai Zongming sighed while rubbing Lu Cheng's bruise. "Actually, I'm really surprised to see you make such great progress. I'm also a little touched to see you working so hard for the martial arts competition dream." "The last time I was so serious was when I was chasing after my current girlfriend. You want to come?" Lu Qing looked at the TV in front of him. It was a professional martial arts competition between Shizhou Sect and Guanwei League. Both of them belonged to the highest level and were good at physical martial arts. One side of their bodies was shining with a metallic luster, while the other side had a strong recovery ability. Their injuries were healed in the blink of an eye. Kai Zongming laughed dryly. "I'm just saying. But I'm still reluctant to sleep in and play games." "Then how did you practice martial arts in the past?" Lu Qing couldn't imagine how Kai Zongming had persevered in the past. Kai Zongming rubbed away the effect of the medicine and patted Lu Cheng's back. He praised, "You're strong and elastic now." At that time, the son of the richest man in our small, rundown city was kidnapped. After extorting a sum of money, he was killed. Everyone was in a panic. My family's financial situation was not bad. My parents were very worried and sent me to the martial arts center to practice martial arts. During those years, the martial arts center in our city earned a lot of money. You need someone to supervise you before you can practice martial arts. By the way, did you catch the kidnappers?" Lu Qing asked curiously. "Of course they did. The martial arts administration of the police department sent people down and blocked them on the mountain. They shot them to death. It was said that their bodies were broken." Kai Zongming talked about the past in his hometown. While chatting, Lu Qing logged into QQ and sent a smiley face to Yan Jika. "I had a lot of fun today. Thousands of words, tens of thousands of words, excitement and happiness were all condensed into this one sentence." When the martial arts competition ended and Shizhou Sect won by a narrow margin, Lu Qing returned to the small dormitory. Yan Jika replied with the same smiley face. "Me too." These 3 short words made Lu Qing feel a little warm. Yan Jika continued to send messages. I was watching the Shizhou sex competition just now. The Lion King is still as powerful as when we were young. The Lion King, Shangyud, was the top expert of the Shizhou sect. He was nearly 50 years old and was a great master in Lu Cheng's childhood memory. He had won 6 titles, including the King, the Lion King. What a coincidence. I was watching it too. But I only saw half of it. I had a practice match with someone by the lake. Lu Cheng couldn't wait to share the actual combat experience with Yan Jika. Because of her own regrets, she was a fanatical martial arts competition enthusiast. She should be interested in this kind of thing, right? You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.